Goodness. No, there's no
live?
time. Oh, no, I'm recording. Okay, do you want to...
Yeah, I will. Must mean it's 9 o'clock. Can you start that on time?
Sure.
There we go. Bit of day. Yeah. Alrighty. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to your orientation day for the Master of Physiotherapy here at Flinders. My name is Claire Baldwin, and I'm the academic lead for physiotherapy. And
Trying to work out a microphone.
I'm Kelly Huxley, course coordinator for physio.
fantastic. So I'm just going to steal the first few minutes of your morning and do a little bit of an introduction, and then I'll be handing over to Kelly for the day. So I'm going to start by acknowledging that we are gathered here today on the lands of the Kaurna people. I acknowledge their elders past and present and their important and continual connection with country. I acknowledge them as the first sort of teachers, researchers and people on this land, and commit to in physiotherapy, how we work together in sort of reconciliation and learning from Indigenous knowledges and moving forward in how we live and learn on this land and in this country together. So welcome to starting your career in the profession of physiotherapy. While you'll be with us for the next 2 and a little bit years, really you're our peers and our colleagues already, because this 2 years and a bit will fly through, but really we're hoping that you will have really long, exciting and rewarding careers as a physiotherapist, and you're going to be our colleagues and do much more amazing things than we've done. We love our profession, and we're excited that it sparked an interest in you. And look, it's a really great career and can take you lots of great places. So we very much see you as our colleagues and working with us. So while yes, you're lecturers, academics, we're really here to guide you in that sort of teaching and learning process, and we really value being able to work collaboratively with you. Now I thought I'd sort of start off with just a bit of an overview of Flinders. I know that launches of strategic plans are not that exciting, certainly from where you're sitting, but I think Flinders did launch a new strategic plan last week, the next iteration of our strategic plan, and I think it's really important because the values of the university really do filter down to what we do in our everyday business and how we support you with your learning and to become physiotherapists. So one of the key values of Flinders is being student-centred, and really that's you drive the decisions and how we make and how we've put this degree together and how this we do this experience for you. We of course work with industry and the big outside world of physiotherapists as well, which many of our staff still actively and currently work in. But the idea is that we do this together, we listen to your feedback, we know the profession well to be able to bring you what we think is a really high quality program. But everything we do, we always think about it as how will this affect you, how will this help you? And that's kind of our guiding light in the decisions and the program and the curriculum we've put together. The other values of our university are courage, innovation, integrity and excellence. So for some of you it might have taken courage to turn up today. Certainly I know some days life still goes on outside you being here as a student, and just turning up sometimes is a win. But really today is a chance to be courageous and to meet some new people. You're going to try new things in this degree, and look, there are times when stuff's going to be hard, and courage will be when you show resilience and perseverance through those things. Sometimes learning gets hard, you find yourself in the muddy learning pit before concepts and things and skills make sense, and then you come out the other side much stronger and enriched and a better physio and practitioner because of it. We really value innovation here at Flinders, and we will also try new things. So our program is never the same. It is, in terms of what we teach, but you will benefit from things that our students last year have told us, and our placement providers have said, hey, we're starting to see this in clinical practice. So we're constantly updating what and how we teach, and particularly in the placement space. The way that we do placements at Flinders, which is one of the best ways that you're going to get to put your learning into practice, is through how we support you and how we support our placement providers and supervisors. So we've got lots of different types of placement models and ways of doing placement that you'll get to experience later this year and into next year. And they're really important because This is preparing you for what the future of healthcare is like and ways of working. So that for us, that means very much working with other professionals. We definitely don't sit in a physio box. We're always looking to connect and put our clients first, and evidence would show that your clients will get the best possible outcomes when you work really closely with other health practitioners and in what we call in interprofessional teams. So that is a growing and a strong focus of how we're working, because we know that that's what best quality care is for clients. That's how people get rewarding careers, is when they're connected and they're working in a whole health system, rather than sort of sitting neatly in sort of defined professional boxes. So yeah, sometimes what you do will feel messy and unclear, but it'll get clearer, and it's important because our profession needs to shift and shape and move, and you are part of that future and driving that direction of physiotherapy moving forward. We also value integrity. So that does mean integrity in terms of your academics. We will get information about what that means in terms of academic integrity. So that's how you honestly approach your work and your assessments. But for us, it also means integrity means professional behaviours. And so we will talk a lot about professional behaviours and what it means to be a physiotherapist. We have no doubt that you are all professional and ethical and good-hearted and good-willed people. But of course, whenever you step into a different profession or a different life role, sometimes there's unwritten laws or boundaries. Sometimes they're written as well, actually. But part of this is actually discovering, what is acceptable? How is the best way that I communicate with people? How can I do that with respect? And so we will talk about that a lot. We're coming from a place of, you're already great and excellent. You wouldn't be in this room if you weren't. But we're all here to help you shape that, and we're not always going to get it right. You won't and we won't as well, but we're on that journey together. We also recognise that you bring different pathways and life experiences, and we really welcome and respect that, and we thank you for bringing that and choosing us at Flinders to this degree. So thank you for being you. You already come with a huge range of experiences. I'm always blown away by the different things that people do when they come and start the Masters, from different degree pathways or life experiences and work experiences, and you make us all richer for these experiences that you bring and you bring to your role as now becoming a physiotherapist and sharing with each other. The final value is excellence. So we really value quality teaching practices here, and our staff work really hard to learn and continue to develop as teachers. We've already got sort of runs on the board as physiotherapists, but when you're a physio that comes to teach, it's actually a whole different almost profession and skill set in itself. And we want to reassure you that our staff put lots of time in developing our teaching practices in the same way that we develop our clinical and our physiotherapy practices. So this is really about the why of what everything we do. So when we say come to class, we've got a reason and we've got a why, and that's because we think it's going to help you, or we know it's going to help you, or our industry professionals have told us this is what we want to see in our graduates. So that comes down to quality in how we design our assessments. We know that assessments and assignments can be stressful, they can sometimes feel boring, but we're not going to assess you on something or do it in a way unless we think that that's important to help you and make you learn, and because it's going to reflect what you need to do in the real world. Our staff know from experience, quality and excellence to us means that we stay connected with our professions. We're all involved in lots of different ways. And really, excellence, I think, comes with the proof in the pudding. We collect information from our graduates every year and the people who employ our graduates. And really, humble brag, we get really good feedback. We have a number of places that are we actually love and we really prefer the Flinders graduates. And I think that's because it's the how we do business. It's not just the what we teach you, it's how we go about it in the classroom. And actually a lot of that is down to you and all those attributes that you bring. We rely on your contribution to class, to each other, and this commitment that we've all got to each other for the next 2 years to make this a really great experience and to connect with each other. And that's usually what our employers will say, is that the Flinders students just seem to settle into their team much more seamlessly. You tend to be great at collaboration. That's because of who you are, but I'd like to think that we have a part in sort of guiding you along that to when you're starting to seek your jobs at the end of these 2 years. So for us, it's no surprise that one of our best indicators of success is going to be connection. The evidence would show that you have probably the most enjoyable and successful journey here with us if you connect with each other. Now, we've got a number of people that are very Flinders familiar already. A number of you have come through our Bachelor of Health Science or other Flinders pathways. Some of you have moved states, have moved countries, and you've got really different experiences, and we've got a really broad mix of people here. So I would encourage you to meet new people. You're not going to be alone in your experience. Chances are a majority of the people here are new to this as well. And really use your time over this first year in particular to connect with different people. We will help you with that, but it means that when you go to clinical placements, these are the people that you're going to be working with, and it's so much easier if you know people by name and you're familiar. And we're kind of a small enough group that you can really do that here at Flinders as well. So a little about me and my role. So my role is as academic lead of physiotherapy. What does that mean? I should be able to say that in a concise sentence. I probably can't. I suppose it's, I don't know.
She's the big leader.
The head of the discipline? I don't know. My kids were asking what accountability means last night. I go, well, I'm accountable for physio at Flinders. That means all the good stuff and all the hard stuff. I need to know about it and make sure it all goes right. So I think I help with staffing. I do our, accreditation. I do all the behind the scenes boring bits that just make stuff happen. I don't know.
Make your job sound so rewarding.
It is actually really rewarding because you get to learn with other people, which is the best thing, because there's academic leads in OT and things, and I just love learning from other people. So actually, it is a lovely role. Sometimes it's boring, like at the moment, because I'm writing accreditation submissions. But beyond that, speak to me in April when I'll be much happier.
How many words have you written so far?
I think I'm in the order of like 70,000 words or something ridiculous and only with a tiny bit of co-pilot, in the last little bit. But so I think it's overseeing the discipline. So you'll see me a bit. I unfortunately don't have that much in the classroom teaching at the minute, but my door's always open, here to help. I was course coordinator in Kelly's role before that and placement coordinator before that, so I don't know, someone caught me out with something I didn't know about physiotherapy or the university or processes the other day. But I'm happy to sort of share knowledge, help out. If you can't get in contact with Kelly or other people, very open door. Come chat with me, send me an email, whatever. I'm here to help point you in the right direction. But I guess as a physio, I don't know, I teach here. I do research as well. My clinical background is working in acute care and cardiorespiratory physio. I didn't really put that much thought into studying physio. To be honest, I just thought, it was a good place to start. Didn't even go to a uni open day. I just kind of chose physio and started. And I used to think, physio's all about sports. And I presume I'll just become a physio like for the Australian Ballet or something. Anyway, clearly that didn't happen. You learn all these different areas. I didn't even know physios worked in hospitals. That was my level of understanding of what I got myself into. And really loved the hospital-based work. And I really loved working with people when they were really sick, but also the challenges of that situation, but also the opportunity to make a difference. And I think that's usually what brings people to physio as well. So I've worked in the acute care hospital systems, mainly in intensive care, and so that's where my PhD research was, in rehabilitation and getting people moving. So now that's what I enjoy doing when what brought me here. But anyway, that is
beautiful.
Way too much of your orientation
that's
time.
Fine.
Okay.
Did anyone have any questions for Claire at this point? Or I'm sure things will come up later in the day. Are you joining us later this Saturday?
Yes.
Maybe?
Yeah. I think I'm coming to collect you at some
Oh no, that's tomorrow.
That's tomorrow. Oh, no,
Not
sorry.
you guys.
Collecting other fresh physios tomorrow. Yes, I will see you in the rooms this afternoon. But anyway.
Beautiful.
Thank you very much. Good morning. Thank you.
Anything else I can help you? Text you.
Yeah. Can you guys hear me okay? Beautiful. These lapel mics don't normally work well for me, but I talk too much with my hands to carry one of the big ones. So, not everyone who's in the Master of Physio is here today, but can I get a show of hands who has studied at Flinders University before today? Oh, lots of you. Okay. Thank you. Who is new to Flinders University? Who is new to Australia? Who's new to Adelaide? Okay, beautiful. So anyone who has lived in Adelaide or Australia for a while will probably be familiar with Acknowledgement of Country and Welcome to Country. For those who are new to Australia, when we meet, such as today, Out of respect for the Indigenous Australians, we will often acknowledge the country that we're meeting on, as Claire did earlier. If we are blessed enough as we are to have a lot of Indigenous staff members working at Flinders University, they may also provide a welcome to country. So Uncle Lewis, who is one of our Flinders academics, has done so for us today. So I'll see if I can get this to play.
So I'd like to give a really warm welcome to Flinders University. This is Simone, our rapporteur, and she's our Pro-Vice-Chancellor Indigenous. And this is Professor Robbie Lawson, Senior Deputy Vice-Chancellor. And we're located at University in Corella. We'd like to acknowledge all traditional owners and custodians on the lands of which our university is located, within South Australia and Northern Territory. And whether you're studying on one of those campuses or online, we warmly welcome you to Flinders University. Yulgarinthi in Corella means meeting place in Ghana, and we were gifted the word Yulgarinthi, which means to impart, to inform and communicate. We're right next to Yulgarinthi Temple, the building where our Aboriginal students come and learn. So to start your journey with Flinders, we're privileged to have Cliffy Wilson with us today. He's here from the Puma and he's going to do a welcome to country for us.
Nyakenamera, Namani, Nana Cliffy Campbell, Nachi Wilson, Nagana, Nanjiri, Naranga, Najuri, Alamadayo. Naru Changa Kanamena, Naru Tamade, Naru Gani Tangatikandi. Nawang Kimano Kupigani Natana, Najiyukali Yandalia, Nachalia. Good morning to each and every one of you who are going to say. My name is Clifford Wilson, but I also go by Tungle and Manachi, which are both my traditional garden names down here in the city of Adelaide. So Tungle is my totem, and my totem is the king we are saying, one of the most dangerous animals in the world. Also, Manachi is just my birthright name, which translates to the foreborn and male of my family. I'm a proud garden man from here in the city of Adelaide, but also a proud Dundee man from back on the lower edge of the Coorong on the Foorup Peninsula. My family ties stand out to the Naranga people on the York Peninsula, also to the Nudgee people on the Flinders Ranges, and last but not least, the Arran people in the Northern Territory Streams. I'm here this morning at Flinders University in Bedford Park, also known as Flinders in the River, which translates to meeting place, which is located on the Garden Lands. And on behalf of the Garden people, I'd like to welcome those who are situated here in Flinders Uni at Bedford Park on Garden Lands, but also welcome those across South Australia or located on other Aboriginal lands. May we pay respect to the traditional custodians of those regions and also pay respect to their cultural and spiritual beliefs, and it's still important to the living Aboriginal people today. Also, we do have campuses located in the Northern Territory, so I'd like to pay respect to the traditional owners of those regions. And to the staff and the students, may we take care of these campuses and the surrounding communities of these areas like the Aboriginal people have for many thousands of years. But also, may we pay respect to the cultural and spiritual beliefs of the Aboriginal people across the country and recognise that their connection to the land, the sky, and the waterways that surround us is still strong, still as important, but also still as important to the living Aboriginal people today. I would like to finish off by saying Nachalia and Nakada. Nachalia means thank you in the Garden language, and Nachalia means we'll see you again when that passes me. To all students, I would like to wish you all the best for the remainder of the year and for your future studies. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Cliffy, for offering us a welcome to country and also the acknowledgement of all the traditional owners on which our universities are located. So welcome to all our new students. I hope you have an amazing first semester, and remember, have fun.
All right, so for context, most of our physio classes will run here in Sturt campus. We'll have the occasional visit maybe up the hill to the main Bedford Park campus. Potentially we might head to Tonsley at some stage, but most of your classes will be based here. If you're new to Flinders University, you're obviously very welcome to use all the facilities here at Sturt campus, but you are also more than welcome to head up the hill towards Bedford Park main campus. Sometimes it's a bit more exciting up there. There are a lot more food and beverage options and lots of events that will happen up there during the year that you'll be notified about as students. So it's just a quick welcome here and a bit of a chat about some of the services that are available up the hill that you're welcome to use. No? There we go.
Welcome to Flinders University. This is your guide to getting started, staying connected, and finding support. Let's go. First things first, Wi-Fi. Next to the edge of your own Wi-Fi, using your student plan and Flinders password. For more information, head to the Wi-Fi page on our Flinders website. Flow, or Flinders Learning Online, is the main platform that the university uses. It runs off of a platform called Canvas, so you may hear people call it about that later too.
Need help with flow? Head to the orientation event planner page and register to get your first flow session. If you need help to enroll and register, there is plenty of support available to make the process smooth and stress-free. You can submit a request via Ask Flinders, or you can visit Flinders Connect in person with personalised assistance, or watch the student system how-to guides on YouTube for quick visual guides. You also need to order your student ID card. This can be done by the Order My ID card app on the Opt dashboard, or just visit Flinders Connect on level 1 at Bedford Park.
You can pick it up from Flinders Connect or even get it posted. Just make sure your address is up to date, and you can even choose your preferred name.
Flinders Connect is your one-stop support hub for all things student life, helping with enrollment, fees, exams, graduations, ID cards, scholarships, and general requirements.
Flinders also offer a huge variety of scholarships, which you can find on our Flinders scholarships page. Getting to Flinders? No problem!
Take the train straight to Flinders Station or hop on a bus with heaps of routes, including all blue buses which keep us connected, so you're never more than a bus ride away.
If you're driving to campus, don't panic, there's plenty of room to park on campus. Just make sure you download Seller Card or have a big permit to avoid racking up those fines we all love.
Feel unsafe. Security is here for you 24/7. Just ring 8201-2080 or find hotline phones around campus. If you experience harassment or unacceptable behavior, you can always make a confidential report. It doesn't start a complaint, it starts a call. You can find the library at level 2 at Bedford Park. Chat with librarians, access photos, videos, textbooks, journal, and more.
Need academic support? Visit the Learning Lounge. The Student Learning Support Service is here to help with referencing, academic writing, and more, online or in person. Better you connect you with well-being resources, physical, mental, social, and spiritual. Check it out to look after you.
You can see a doctor, counsellor, or disability advisor through health counselling and disability services available on level 3 of the Student Centre building by phone or online appointments. These appointments can be bulk billed or covered by an overseas health card. Contact them on 08-8201-2118, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. weekdays.
Oasis is your well-being space. There's free tea and coffee, programs and social events, markets and well-being programs.
Are you an international student? Come over to the International Student Services where you're supported through advice, volunteering, social events, meet and greets, and much more.
We're going to support Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander students with tutoring, study spaces, financial support and community.
If you're a student with disability or mental health conditions, visit the University Specialist Employment Partnership Team. The USCP team offers specialized on-campus employment help in partnership with the Community Bridging Services.
Ready to start your career? Careers Hub is here to help you build resumes, networking, business ideas, and placements to jumpstart your career.
More details on all the services discussed in this video are available on the link above.
And just remember, university is more than just classes. It's about finding your path, building your future, and accessing support.
And don't forget, have fun along the way. We're super excited to have you here.
Welcome to Flinders.
Alrighty. So there are lots of services listed there and they kind of throw them at you really quickly. So I'll make sure that you've got that video available to you as a refresher and reminder of where you can go. Some of those services do visit Sturt campus, and I've got some information about that later on, but it might just be one day a week or so that they come down here, but you're also welcome to head up the hill. We don't have a similar video for Sturt campus, but there is a library in Sturt campus in the West building, So you're welcome to use that or the one up the hill as well. I know a lot of our students will head in there for some quiet study spaces in between classes as they need. So, welcome to the Master of Physiotherapy, or the MPT as we commonly call it. You will be our 15th cohort since the program started here at Flinders University, and that will follow you through. So here we've got just some photos of our past cohorts. You can see up the top left, they were very, very small cohorts to start with. I think you guys will be just over 90 students in this cohort. So this program started at the Repat Health Precinct, which was the Repat Hospital back then. Flinders University still have a building there, but it's no longer used for a lot of teaching because our cohort sizes expanded and we kind of grew out of it. So then we came up here to Sturt. So this is what we'll be doing today. A bit of welcome and overview. We've got Jack, who's one of our final year MPT students, who has a practical exam today for his neuro topic. So if he looks really nervous when he comes in the door, that's probably why. But he is coming on behalf of the Flinders Uni Physio Student Association. He'll just give you a little bit of information about FUPSA and some links if you would like to join them. And then we've got a couple of external groups coming in to visit. So we've got the South Australian Sports Medicine Association and the Australian Physiotherapy Association. So they're going to come in, have a chat about what they do, but also some services that are available to you as students as well. We will have a break for morning tea, and then a bit more from me about what to expect in the Masters program, how we teach, how we learn. Then Matt Hocking will come in to chat about the placement program over the next couple of years. Then we'll have a break for lunch. Then this afternoon, we won't be in here to start. We're going to head over to the Sturt South building. You'll have an opportunity to meet some of our second year Masters students, again, who all have exams today and either tomorrow or Thursday. So if they all look nervous, that's probably why. We don't have a very structured section with them, so they'll tell you a little bit about how they came into the program, and then it's free rein. Feel free to ask them any questions, ask for any tips that might be helpful along the way. We will also do a bit of orientation into one of our practical rooms before teaching starts next week, and we'll need you guys to sign some consent forms to participate in practical activities in the program, and we will also take a photo roll. So we have a mugshot of everybody that we can put in our offices, which is a good quick reference. So if we're reading your name, then we can put a face to the name. We will all try really hard to get to know your names. I am probably the worst person in the program for learning names, but I will try really hard. We may ask you guys to wear name tags for the first couple of weeks while you're getting to know each other, but while we're getting to know you as well. So that's 2 till 3:30. We'll rotate through those rooms, and then we'll quickly come back here. Your topic coordinators for semester 1, so Alex, Matt and Jill, will be here just to very briefly introduce you to what to expect in semester 1. We'll have some Q&A if you have any remaining questions at the end of the day, and then we'll aim to wrap up well before 4 o'clock if we can. All right. So you've met Claire, who's our academic lead. I'm the course coordinator. So my role is really to do with educational quality. So I focus a lot on our curriculum, what it is that we teach, how all the teaching is structured, and I'm probably your go-to person if you're having any issues with progressing in the degree or need to look at altering your study plan a little bit. I'll introduce Matt a little bit later, but maybe a little bit of background about me. I finished uni in 2009, I think, and went on to work in hospital as well. A little bit different to Claire, I wasn't so much in acute care, but more in rehab settings, and ended up with a real interest in neurological rehab. So I've worked both at the Repat Hospital and across the road at Flinders Medical Centre, but in the rehab building, with people who are rehabilitating after stroke or brain injury or serious illness. So that's kind of my niche area. I still practice occasionally on the weekends. I'll work at the hospital, and then I work here 4 days a week. Matt is our placement education coordinator, so he'll come in later and introduce himself and give a bit of his background as well. He's quite different to Claire and I in that he has a private practice musculoskeletal background for physio. And then this is the rest of our teaching team. We have a really great team. I feel very blessed to work with these people. Everyone has a very good sense of humour, everyone's pretty friendly, and we all get along well, which I think is a good sign. Everyone has a different sort of niche area. A couple of our physios practice across multiple areas, but most people will have some clinical experience that they bring to the table and may still be practicing clinically. And then some of our staff also have research backgrounds as well. So it's a really good mix, a really good spread, and I think hopefully you guys will really benefit from that range of expertise that we bring. So, in our team, lots of different ways to communicate between us all. So, if our staff are wanting to communicate to you, if it's a bulk piece of information that you all need to know, we will often use flow to make announcements. If it relates to a singular topic, we'll do it in the topic. If it's an overall Master of Physio program announcement, we'll do it on the MPT course page. So hopefully when you log into Flow, you'll have an icon that looks a little bit like that one down there. If you don't, if you don't, please let me know and we'll make sure that we register you for that page. But that will push out announcements to you and is also kind of our hub for everything you need to know physio-wise. We also will communicate with you primarily via email, so please check your emails regularly. I would suggest daily. That's probably our quickest way to contact you one-on-one, particularly when we start to get towards placement activities and compliance requirements. Some people from our college office and our work integrated learning team or WIL team will contact you as well. So please make sure that you're responsive on email. We endeavour to be as responsive as we can be on email. Anyone who emailed me yesterday would know that I wasn't particularly responsive yesterday. So it really just depends what is happening at the time and how busy things are. But we will try to get back to you within 24 hours as often as we possibly can. If you need to contact us, there's a couple of different ways to go about it. So if it's related to a particular topic, so for example, MSK1, which we'll be studying this semester, head to Flow, to the topic site, and utilise the discussion board where you can. So if it's a question that is more general in nature, that everyone in that topic you think could benefit from, the discussion board is the place to go. Otherwise, we do encourage a lot of communication in class, so you're welcome to ask questions in class, or quickly at the end you can try and catch your tutor for a question then. If you want to talk to us and it's something of a more personal nature, email is probably the best way to go. You don't have to reveal your secrets in an email, but you can request to meet with us privately at some stage, which is fine. We can do that in person or online. And our offices are based in Sturt West on level 4, which is where one of our prac rooms is. So you'll be walking past our offices a bit. We have a general rule, kind of like Claire said before, if the door's open, you're welcome to pop in and say hello or ask a question. If we're engaged in something at the time, please don't be offended if we say, I'm really sorry, I can't talk right now, but we can make a time to catch up with you a bit later. Any other questions about having to contact us? Either way, you contact us or us contact you, or is that pretty clear for now? Cool. Okay. This is our Master of Physiotherapy curriculum framework. I probably go back and visit this every now and then, just as a reminder of what we're trying to achieve as a whole in the program. So essentially, what's listed in yellow is a lot of what we do and the qualities that we want to promote and develop in you over the next couple of years. As Claire said before, we consider you to be partners in this process, but we also want to develop you as partners within the healthcare workforce as well. Being a master's program, we do expect sort of a level above a bachelor degree, and we do hope that we develop leadership qualities in you that you can take out into the workforce when you finish as well. We are supported by technology, so obviously technology is a rapidly expanding area, but there are lots of technological advances within physio that we will introduce along the way as well. So that's kind of sums up a lot of what we'll cover. I think, sort of as Claire said, and I was probably similar when I started physio, I didn't really have a good grasp of what physio entailed in its entirety. Same as Claire, I'd probably gone to see a sports physio for spraining my ankle or something like that, and that's what I thought it was. But there are lots of other skills that we bring to the table. So your experience over the next couple of years will necessarily be quite diverse. So even if you find that you have a particular area of interest early, that's great, and I completely am happy to foster any passions that you have in a particular area, but we do have an expectation that we need to develop skills across the board, so just need to be prepared for that. So this kind of summarises the curriculum framework. Basically, our aim is to prepare graduates who are principled leaders in physio practice. You will practice across a range of settings over the next couple of years, and you'll be prepared to do that on graduation in different health systems and communities. And we really value connection with people, culture and environment as well, so we encourage that too. As Claire said, we do expect from this point forward in the next couple of years professional engagement in your studies and any tasks that you undertake of a clinical nature, so both with your colleagues and other health professions and those who are benefiting from your physiotherapy care. So we really emphasise developing contemporary health professionals who can reflect, so there's a lot of self-reflection in this degree, and respond to that, to be critical thinkers and effective communicators across the board. Okay, this is a bit of the boring bit. This is what Claire's writing 70,000 words about at the moment. So in Australia and New Zealand, there are physiotherapy practice thresholds. Essentially, they are the minimum level skills that you need to be able to demonstrate to become a qualified physiotherapist, and then you need to maintain those to continue being a physiotherapist. So we have to be able to prove that our course develops students who come out meeting those minimum practice thresholds. So Claire's currently writing 70,000 words at the moment about how we do that. You don't really have to do anything with that information. That's kind of our responsibility to make sure we cover everything we need to. In terms of registration, so all practicing physiotherapists will need to be registered with AHPRA, which is the Australian Health Practitioner Regulation Agency, and you as students will automatically be placed on the AHPRA student register. Okay? What that means is when you are out on placement, you need to abide by the AHPRA Code of Conduct. You're more than welcome to Google that at some stage. It's quite an intensive read, but that basically outlines what the expectations are of you as a registered student and future healthcare professional to make sure that those who are receiving your care are safe and well cared for. At the end of next year, once you've completed all of your required topics successfully, the university will send your transcript details, so your grades, off to AHPRA. You will have to complete a registration process a few months earlier. We'll remind you about that next year, so don't worry about it right now. Then APRA will process all of that, and then you will receive your APRA registration probably sometime early the year after you finish, normally around January. So in terms of professional requirements of you need to abide by the APRA Code of Conduct. You also need to make sure that you are fit to practice. So this means any sort of illness, disability, whether that be physical or mental, it could be related to your mental health as well. You need to ensure that you are fit to practice before you head out on placement, and then once you graduate as well to be working. If anything comes up throughout your studies that is impacting you, so if you sustain an injury or mentally things are not going so well, there might be some sort of big trauma or event in your life, you're more than welcome to come and speak to us about that, and we can guide you through this process. What it might mean is that you need to take a little bit of time, or you might not need to take any time at all, but we might require you to then provide a declaration of your fitness to practice and return to study and or placement. So if any of that happens, please come and talk to me, send me an email, we can meet privately to discuss it. It will all be maintained confidentially. And you also will need to understand your mandatory reporting obligations as well. So some of the things that we think makes our particular physio program special, just look at how happy all of these people are. This looks like it's just going to be a blast. So we have, hey Jack, we have our Health to Go clinic on site. So lots of our students will filter through the Health to Go clinic on placement at some stage. You're also welcome to access that as a student as well. There are lots of different allied health professionals operating through there, so you can have a look on the website at what's available and book in if you wanted to. As Claire mentioned, we provide lots of opportunities for interprofessional practice where you're working with other health professionals or disciplines or students in those disciplines. We have a really strong focus on rural and remote health, so we certainly see that there are lots of gaps and lots of demand in non-metropolitan areas of particularly South Australia. That's where we focus most of our attention. And we are really committed to trying to address those gaps, but also to encourage students to develop their skills to be able to operate in a rural setting. So does anyone come from a rural area, somewhere outside of Metro? Yeah. So you probably appreciate that there's a different skill set and probably a different mentality required in those areas, sometimes particularly around healthcare, where the availability of services is just not the same as in the city. Matt will talk a little bit later about a lot of our placement opportunities in rural settings, but that is definitely a strong focus for us. We do peer mentoring and peer learning, so combining our first and second year master students along the way. Mentoring is more of an informal process, and we'll talk about that a bit more this afternoon, where you can be paired up with a final year master's student and you can catch up as you wish, but they're a good resource for you, someone you can ask questions of, catch up with and have a coffee every now and then. And peer learning opportunities, so that's where we're integrating first and second year levels together for learning benefits. Later this year, you guys will have some simulation activities where you're coming into practice on pretend patients, and some of your pretend patients will be second year master students. It was really lovely. I worked with the guys doing that last year. I don't know if you remember this, Jack, but all these second year students, so they were on placement, but as part of that they came in to act as patients, and they were all really nervous, and they were going, oh no, I don't want to be judged by these first year students. And then they realised at the end of it just how much they'd developed in 12 months and loved the experience of being able to share some tips and tricks with you guys as well. So there's evidence to support that, but we also just see that as really valuable for connection and learning across the 2 years. So simulated learning, as I mentioned, we'll do lots of simulated practice scenarios, but we do require you to act as the health professional in those situations. Lots of professional connections. So we've got the two associations coming this morning to talk to you, but as Claire mentioned, we also have really strong partnerships with industry, and we work really closely with them to understand what the demands are out there in healthcare at the moment, to make sure that what we are delivering here and what we're encouraging in you guys is going to benefit once you graduate as well. I've talked about the mix of experience in our staff, and Matt will talk a little bit more about diversity of placement experiences when he comes a bit later on this morning. So this year, this is what you will be studying on a full-time study plan. So 3 topics in each semester. First semester you'll have Musculoskeletal Practice 1 or MSK 1, Performance of Movement and Function or PMF. We love an acronym, don't we? And Interprofessional Practice. So your top 2 topics are physio only. Interprofessional practice you'll be doing with students from other disciplines as well. MSK is a bigger topic at 9 units. And I've just put a star next to Performance of Movement and Function because that topic also involves a placement in the middle of the year. Don't freak out yet. It's a 1-week placement, foundational placement. You will be well and truly prepared by the time we get to that point. Then in second semester, we've got cardiorespiratory, MSK2, and physio clinical practice that kind of combines lots of different skills. That also has a star because that includes placement as well, which will be 1 5-week placement at the end of the year. And Matt will talk about that a bit more later. Then next year in year 2, you'll have 4 topics per semester, but the early practice and integrated practice topics are placement only. Okay? So each of those relates to a 5-week full-time placement. You'll start the year with professional practices in health systems. So there's an intensive week and then some activities that kind of run alongside placement throughout the whole first semester. And neurological rehabilitation, which is what we're doing at the moment, which is what Jack is really stressed about at the moment, which runs as an intensive at the start of the year. Then in second semester, complex case and advanced practice and research in practice have some intensive teaching in the middle of the year, and then some assignment work that continues throughout the semester, and then your 2 placements there. Everyone feeling good about that so far? Cool. Probably realising that's lots of weeks of placement altogether, which is a good thing, I promise. Matt will talk about that a little bit later as well. I'm just looking through my next few slides. Hopefully, I think I've checked enrolments. It looks like everyone was enrolled in the topics that they were supposed to be. If any of those topics I put up before you haven't seen, come and let me know if you have any issues. But otherwise, just make sure you're enrolled in topics and registered for classes, so they should appear on your timetable. So in terms of the calendar, we like to be a little bit different, so we don't comply with conventional semester dates. That means that you will start this year at normal university start time, but your year runs a little bit longer, and then next year in entirety it's quite a long year, but you won't necessarily be engaged in on-campus or placement activity all of the time. So there are some breaks in there. We're not going to absolutely drive you into the ground. As I sort of mentioned, some of the topics we deliver in a condensed format or over intensive periods, like neuro rehab is delivered as a 5-week intensive at the start of your second year, or there might be some intensive weeks of teaching and then that assignment work that kind of filters through the rest of the semester. For placements, there is a physiotherapy national placement block calendar. So all of the physio programs around Australia use this 5-week block calendar. We don't, at the moment, we don't use the middle, so they're in yellow. We don't use the middle block 5, but we do use the other 8. So you will complete 26 weeks of full-time or equivalent. There are a few placements that do run part-time over a longer number of weeks, but not that many of them. So 26 weeks full-time over the degree. Your timetable won't necessarily be the same each week. So if you've done undergraduate study and you always had a tutorial at 9 a.m. on a Thursday, our program doesn't run like that. Some of our classes are 2 hours, some are 3. So please check your timetable carefully and any flow announcements for your topics as well. We will try and keep on top of that communication so you feel pretty clear about what you're doing. One more slide, Jack, and then I'll let you take over. So important dates for this year. For your topics specifically, handbook is always the source of truth, the best place to go in terms of topic-specific dates, your census date, last date to withdraw, etc. So semester 1 for you guys starts next week on Monday. You do have a mid-semester break, but it's only a week. So between the 13th and the 17th of April. That 1 week placement that aligns with PMF will be 1 week in June. So you don't have to be on placement for all 3 of those weeks, but will be one of the 3 weeks that you'll be out on placement. Then semester 2 starts on the 6th of July. Again, you get a 1 week break between the 10th and the 14th of August. And then that 5 week placement at the end of the year, we have 2 separate blocks. So you'll be in one of those blocks or the other for your placement. When you're not on placement, in the other 5 weeks, you'll be here for some on-campus teaching, okay? So it's a busy year. We'll hit the ground running pretty quickly. There are those 1 week opportunities and a bit of a break in the middle of the year when you're not on placement to have a bit of a breather. If you're struggling with the pace of anything, please come and talk to me. We'll try and give you as many tips and tricks and help along the way as we possibly can. But I'm going to hand over to Jack. You're welcome to come up. So I'll introduce Jack Sakonis. Do you want this one?
I can just speak this one.
You sure?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. I told everybody that you're stressed that you had your practice
Oh.
exam today. Have you done it yet, or is it
No,
still
it's-
coming?
It's an hour.
Okay. You guys would be a great distraction for him.
Yeah.
Beautiful. So he's going to talk about FUPSA.
All right.
I'll be quiet.
Yeah. Hi everyone. So yeah, I'm Jack. I'm a second year master's student here. And I'm also part of the Flinders University Physiotherapy Student Association, or FUPSA. So it's basically what it is. This is just a club that's run by physio students for physio students. And look, our main goal was just to try to make uni a little bit more enjoyable. It's already enjoyable, but a little bit more enjoyable. So we organise like social events, professional development nights, and just a lot of opportunities throughout the year to connect with other students. And we also do some merch as well, so hats, jumpers, hoodies, that kind of thing. Next.
There you go.
So yeah, these are just some pictures of some things that you can get involved in if you're a member. So we've got like physio ball, which is something that's run in mid-year, which is a highlight of the year. It's good fun, good way to socialise. We also do a grad ball at the end of your master's degree, which is a good way to kind of just wrap things up. And as I said, we also run like professional development nights. In the past, we've done taping workshops and rock tape workshops with SASMA, which are really good fun and really, really useful. Do career nights. We've done pub crawls with UniSA and Adelaide Uni as well. So just a good mix of your social stuff and your career stuff. It's a great combo. Yeah. So this is the important slide. So on the left, you've got the QR code to join as a member. It takes 2 seconds. It's completely free. The reason we want lots of people is because the more members we have, hopefully, the more funding we can get from the uni, which means more events and better events for everyone. Then we've also got the Facebook group on the right. So people here, it's just a community. We post things like your PD courses, job opportunities like sports trainer roles or any kind of clinic work. And even it's a really good place to find your like second-hand uniforms or textbooks at a significantly reduced price. So that's pretty useful. So give it a scan now. I'll give you a second.
Do you have regular FOOPs and meetings or anything? That's your next slide.
Okay.
Shush, Kelly. All right.
All good?
Cool.
That's fine. Okay, so just the last thing, quickly want to mention. So we have the AGM, so the annual general meeting, which is coming up on the 4th of March at 7 p.m. It's online via Teams. We're always looking for people to join the committee, especially you guys, the first years, because eventually when we graduate, we'll need someone to take over. Again, if you want to be part of the committee, there's no cost to join. It takes 2 seconds to sign up. It's just a way to get a good say in, what the planning of events and what's happening. You can help organise things like the physio ball, the merch, and just be involved in a lot of the behind-the-scenes stuff. And it looks really good in your resume too, so it shows a bit of leadership, teamwork and event planning, which is great. Yeah, so it's very low commitment. Usually it's a meeting once a month, depending on what's going on, I think. Yeah. So, yeah, not a very high commitment kind of thing. So if you want to be involved, sign up. Yep. That's it. That's it from
Cool.
me.
They're a really fun bunch. So
Yeah. Anyone have any questions or anything I want to ask about the association or just anything in general? Awesome.
No? Beautiful. All right. Thank you very much. Can everyone wish Jack really good luck this morning?
Thanks, guys.
Beautiful. I will make sure these slides are available to you, so if you have any trouble with those codes, you can scan and register and things later. I'm going to guess Danielle and Kylie have just walked into the room. It can be you. Yeah, that's fine. Beautiful. I will let these two introduce themselves in a little bit more detail, but Danielle and Kylie are visiting us from SASMA, or South Australian Sports Medicine Association, and they've got a few slides to run through and chat to you about what they do. Would you like a lapel mic or a...
You don't want me to sing, that's for sure. So, hi there, welcome. I welcome myself to your space because it's in your home. So yes, Danielle Grant-Cross. I'm CEO of the South Australian Sports Medicine Association, and people often call us SASMA. If you hear people say SASMA, that's who we are. It's a little acronym. And we have Kylie Nuss here, who's our education manager, and Kylie comes from working with junior doctors and the like, so he's very used to the tertiary setting as well. So who are we? We've been around for 65 years, and we are the peak body for sports medicine in this state. So essentially, what does that mean for you? Who here is interested in sport? Okay, so who here is anyone with a club, like working with a club as a trainer or is on that pathway yet? Some people? Okay. So what we do is we're here to help you, essentially. So we are everything to do with sports medicine. So our members, so we're professional members, so they're orthopaedic surgeons, sports doctors, physios, podiatrists, the whole range of allied health, sports science and medical. They're our professional members. And then we have sports trainers. Who here knows what a trainer is? Yep. Okay, so a sports trainer is an accredited certificate essentially, and you have a level 1 trainer and a level 2 trainer. So for any university student that's going out and working with a club, as you're all very aware that you're not a fully fledged physio yet, and you are not yet a trainer unless you've done some accreditation. So the sports trainer is a 1-day course that essentially assists you with sideline support when you're working with a club. Okay, so it does taping, it does things like transporting someone off the field if they're injured, it does wound injury, all those types of things, medical conditions. So what are we about? We're non-commercial, so we're a not-for-profit. So we run education all over the state. So from Sejoona all the way to Mount Gambier and everywhere in between, we work with clubs, schools, councils, our professional members to deliver education. So from the community all the way through to the elite area as well. So we manage things like the Tour Down Under, so the medical side of the Tour Down Under. So we have race doctors assistants, trainers and the like, and we support the tour. And a lot of those teams obviously come with some medical people, but not everyone has got the full suite of medical people. So we write a medical incident plan and do those things. So if you become a member of SASMA, they're the sorts of things that are on offer to you. You get the opportunity to work with those. Last year, at the end of last year, we had a really fabulous opportunity with the World Beach Volleyball. So that was a World Cup event. So we again had, I can't even tell you how many trainers, it was a long event, it was about 16 days, and we had medical staff and sports trainers on the ground for that entire time. You obviously get paid when you're doing that work as well, so we are contracted to do that work. And then what else do? We do lots of wonderful things. And of course, we're evidence-based. So everything we do and deliver, of course, is peer-reviewed, nothing different to what you do, exactly what you do. We work in that space as well. So what we're doing today, and Jared Strawbridge, who works here at Flinders, is going to duck down. I did say to him, I hope I told him the right time. I just texted him saying we're on now. He's a president of SASMA, so we have a board of people. So you eventually now on your journey as a student, but one day you could be part of SASMA, you could be on the board, you can learn governance, those types of things, and also can help you in your own practice and clinics. And I know you're not thinking that yet, but I want to put that into your brain. So today what we're doing, we're offering a free student membership, because it's normally a paid thing, for Flinders, because we do this every year. We come to Flinders. We also sponsor an award. So you can become a free student member today, and what that essentially means is that you get reduced costs to come to things like our state conference. So we've got a state conference on this Sunday. I'm going to shoot you. So actually, go back a step. Why do you want to be a member? You want to be a member because you are networking with all the people that work in sports medicine across this state, from elite to the community pathways. You also get all your PD, so local PD that you can have on the ground. We're based at SASI at the Sports Institute. Has anyone been there or seen it? Yeah, it's a pretty impressive building, so we're based inside that. So you get PD, you get networking, and it basically helps you on your journey, really. So I might I'll go back to that other slide, and Kylie, do jump in if I miss things, because I do jump around. This is our conference that we've got coming up. It's on this Sunday. It's at the Crown Plaza. We've got over 150 people. We've got Professor Jane Rooney. She is talking on ACL injuries, non-operative and operative options, which is very topical, probably, in what you're doing as well. It's very topical. People saying, actually, we don't want surgery. What are the other options? And it's about bracing and other things. So she's an international speaker that we're bringing over. And then and she's been with Serena Williams and all the guns of tennis, which is pretty awesome that we've been able to have her come over. This gives you another idea. Then she's going to run a panel with Dr. Jeff Verrill. He is the SASI Chief Medical Officer. And then we have a radiologist, and then we have a sports trainer. So we've got a panel that is going to talk about the ACL injuries, operative versus non-operative, and what they think about that. And then have people from the floor also speak about different things. Then this is the sports trainer program. So I know you're probably not thinking sports trainer, you're thinking, I'm going to jump over to this one. This is your professional member program. So if you came to the conference, it's $85, only if you're a member, a student member, it's $85. And you basically get a full day of PD. And you can see the things behind me. We have a women's focus this year, women's health focus and wellness. But you also can jump around from the trainers to the professional conference and choose what you'd like. We've actually got the Crow's dentist coming to talk about dental injuries. There's those things that we can sometimes miss until you're faced with some of those injuries as a trainer on the sideline. It's good to get an understanding of that. So this is the sports trainer one. They talk about fractures, they talk about concussion, they talk about spinal injuries and how do we move someone from the field. We talk about calf injuries. We've got a whole range of things. They're very common injuries you'd have in winter sports, netball, basketball, football, rugby, those types of things. So it's actually an excellent day of PD. We're nearly booked, but if you wanted to come, there might still be some tickets. I'm not sure. I haven't checked this morning. So essentially that gives you a bit of an idea about what we do. The Level 1 Sports Trainer course. A lot of your students last year when I presented, they actually booked into this course and we had really excellent feedback. It's a full day of becoming a trainer, and we've targeted this one just for university students. So often you can come in the regular ones that we have on the weekend, but this is one that we are purely doing for university students, and I think we're having it at SASI. Yes, we are. And that gives you some protection when you're at a club. So it's important to obviously keep in your lane as a physio student or as a trainer. So we very much talk about this helps you on your journey if you're wanting to get involved in sport in MSK and to work with sporting teams. That's the other thing we can connect you with sporting teams. What have I missed, Kylie? I've gone pretty quickly. Does anyone have any questions around what we are? I meant to bring the takeaways. I had some giveaways last year and I forgot them. They were caps, very bright red ones, we wouldn't miss you. So does someone just want to say, so what do you think we are? Can I ask you here? Sorry, you're at the front by yourself. No, I won't ask you. I'll ask you with the pack, that lady there in the black. What do you think we are? If you would just listen to me, what do you think we do? Yeah, so education. Yeah, so we run education. So we have members in this state. So we are South Australian focused. So we have members and we provide education and professional development. That's what we do. But as an offshoot to that, we also support medical events that happen in Adelaide. So a lot of them are the uni games and the masters games. We often support those. The Tour Down Under, we look after the equestrian event. No, not the horses, the riders. And obviously the Tour Down Under we've done for the last 26 years. So we have an important space, and I suppose our members love to be involved with those things. You know, they're the shiny things that you want to be involved with, the fun stuff. And so we essentially can support you if you're interested in sport and you want to get more of a handle on MSK. If you come to our trainings, we often, of course, we do very multi-D approach, right? So we have doctors, physios, radiologists, whoever, exercise physiologists that are there. So we often talk about the whole spectrum of sports medicine and where you fit within that and how you can be involved. What's the other thing there, the gentleman at the back there? Straight there. Yeah? What was that offer that we were offering today? Anyone remember? Yeah, Level 1 Sports Trainer course. Well, what was the thing that we're doing as a free thing? A free membership today, yeah. So we normally charge for that. It's not huge money, but it's, it's $50 or $60, something like that. So we're keen to help you on your journey and to be involved. You don't have to become a member. You can just come to our events. We'd love you to be involved. You're the future of sports medicine. We very much want to look at who are the next people that are coming up. How can we support you in that journey? Nothing else? Any other questions? We'd love to see you at the conference if you're interested, if you're free. It's a very busy part of town down there where the fringe is at the Crown Plaza. We've noticed. I drove past there, I couldn't get in and out. So that sort of is who we are in a nutshell. We really hope you have a fantastic year. This is a great course here at Flinders. We've had a long association with this university, and we wish you all the best. And just get on the phone if you've got any questions. There's no pressure. Be a member, don't be a member, but be involved in some shape or form because hopefully we can help you on your journey.
Yeah.
All right.
Beautiful. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Guys. Thanks for coming in. We do find there are lots of sports trainer opportunities that pop up over the next couple of years that we tend to push to you guys as well. So
I'm just going to go back to this.
if you do complete that course, complete the course, that can really help with that too.
Yeah, it gives you that actually on the ground that it's sort of hard to get in the university, clearly. It's working with a club on the ground, you really get a taste of everything. If that's what you're interested in, it's a really great course. Bring the lead for the rest of your day.
All right, no worries. Thank you so much, guys, for coming in. Really appreciate it. All right, has everyone scanned that QR code if they would like it? Yeah? Beautiful. I did notice on there, where are we? The professional workshops, the top one there, Tori Toogood, is actually one of our academic staff in the physio program here. She specialises in women's health and pelvic health, and sports trainers down the bottom here. Harry Saliba is one of our physio graduates from Flinders University. So nice to see it all going full circle. All right, we're running a bit ahead of time. I'm going to go back. Sorry if I make you feel sick by skipping screens like this so much. I'll go back a little bit. Sorry, you'll have about 75 QR codes today. You'll have 6 million different tabs open in your phone. This one, again, I'll make these slides available to you, but this summarises the support and services available to you as Flinders University students. Flinders offer a lot of services across lots of different areas for lots of different reasons. This is always a good place to start if you feel like you're needing something but you're not sure where to go, or even just to have a look at what's available. You might not want to use those services right now, but in the future, if you know that they're there, you know you can reach out to them, and we will often recommend or refer you at different time points along the way if we think they'd be helpful. Student support and services. So these, if you go to the Flinders Uni Student Support and Services website, this will come up. So as you can see, there's lots of different areas that they cover. Health and wellbeing. So in the welcome video earlier, you saw that there are medical services on site available to students, and counselling services as well. Support with study and learning, careers and employment, whether that's working while you're studying or also preparing you for working when you graduate as well. Financial support as well. So Flinders Uni Students Association can help out sometimes for people in need financially as well. And then help with things like enrolment. If you're an international student, the International Student Service team are amazing, and highly recommend catching up with them, even if you don't feel like you need anything from them in particular at the moment. What else? There's also the gym up the hill. So there's a 24-hour gym up the hill that you can become a member of if you want to. There's legal advice. Student success and wellbeing advisors are really helpful if you're finding along the way that you're struggling with your studies a little bit, and we might recommend that you catch up with them at some stage as well. Let me just make sure I'm not missing anything. Also worth noting is that in addition to medical appointments and counselling appointments, there is a mental health crisis support line as well through the university. So that's monitored 24 hours a day. If you are really struggling at any point in time, you can call that number. If they don't answer straight away, they'll get back to you really quickly, okay? So they are always available. Security you saw before, but that was kind of based mostly up at main campus. So the big security office is up the hill at Bedford Park, but there are security officers available here at Sturt campus, and they're available 24 hours a day. There are hotline phones scattered around the campus, but alternatively, the security number will be on the back of your student ID card, okay, if you've got that already or if you get it soon, so you don't forget. Security numbers there. So if you're ever feeling unsafe, or you're here in the evening and it's dark and you need an escort to your car or something like that, you can call that number or send them an email. The college student administration services are based in our college office. So if you're not familiar with Sturt campus, later when we break up for morning tea, if you head out into the main courtyard, you'll be able to see the student admin services office. You can head in there to have a chat to them if you've got any questions. Our work integrated learning team are based in there as well, around compliance for placements and those sorts of things, like your police checks and whatever. So you can pop in there to talk to them. Otherwise, if there are other things that you have a question about, you're not really sure where to direct it, that's not maybe focused so much on the physio program, but is general sort of Flinders University questions, you can always pop in and ask Flinders request for help, and they will automatically direct that to the right people and get back to you. They do ask that if you put your student ID number and as much information as possible in that request, that just helps them to direct your inquiry efficiently. So the girls in the video before outlined a lot of the services that are available and with a focus on the Bedford Park campus, but down here at Sturt, these are the visiting services that come down to us here. So international student services and counselling services will come down here. So these ground floor offices, the blue meeting room and I think the orange meeting room here for Student Success and Wellbeing Advisor. If you enter the College Admin Services office, before you get to the sort of front desk, on your right hand side you'll see there's a room that has a blue floor and a room that has an orange floor, and that's where these guys are based. There's a learning lounge available in the library on Tuesdays and Thursdays for support. Yungarinthi for our Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander students. If you link in with them, then they can provide you more information on their services. The Fusa Hub, so Flinders Uni Students Association Hub, is just off the courtyard as well. You'll see there's some little table tennis tables and things out the front there, and they do run some events on campus sometimes as well. Student Success and Wellbeing Advisors are kind of talked about, and sensory space, so the Sturt Library is often the best place to go for a really quiet space to be studying. All right, I've got 2 more slides and then I'm going to hand over to Casey. So your involvement, as Claire mentioned, we really appreciate your involvement in this course, and we see you as partners in your study. We really appreciate any feedback that you give us. That helps us to develop in future. As Claire said, our program is constantly changing, we're constantly tweaking to try and improve things, and that's often based on your feedback or feedback from industry. So lots of ways that you can do that. If you're familiar with Flinders University, you'll be familiar with student evaluations of teaching, or SETs. Towards the end of each topic, you'll be pushed a lot of notifications to complete those evaluations. They are really, really, really valuable for us to look at our topics to make sure that we are communicating the content and delivering that as best as we can, and so that we can improve things for future as well. On Flow, for your topics, there'll be ways to provide feedback as well, so discussion forums, or there are some anonymous feedback tools scattered throughout, and even things like formative or non-assessed quizzes can give us an idea of what it is in the content that you guys are understanding well, or things that perhaps we haven't communicated that clearly, and we'll go back and revisit them. So lots of ways that we collect that information. When you get to placement, the assessment of physiotherapy practice is the tool that we use to assess your performance on placement. But at the end of that, at the end of your placement, there's a survey so that you can provide specific feedback about your placement site and supervisor confidentially as well. It's highly likely that we will also push out to you other questionnaires or surveys or things along the way if there are particular areas of focus that we need to gather some information on and we really want your feedback on. And some anonymous and confidential options. So I think on the MPT course information page on Flow, there's an anonymous feedback about the entire program, so you can pop some things in there too. Very valuable are your student course representatives. So this is done by self-nomination. I think we have 5 or 6 second year MPT student reps. So they and I will work closely together. We'll meet up a couple of times a year to chat about how things are going, get some general feedback. So they kind of talk to the bigger cohort of students and feedback to me, but I might also ask them to go and gather some specific information as well. This might be things like if we change the timetable for something or change the mix of practical and tutorial activities, how people are finding that, or anything. It can be pretty broad. And Jack's already talked about FUPSA. So, if you would like to become a student course representative for your year, for your cohort, and be that student rep, please speak to me. You can talk to me in person today, but I'll probably ask you to send me an email anyway, just so I have a paper chain. Before close of business on Friday the 13th of March. It will just depend how many nominations we get as to how many people end up being student representatives. I'd love as many people as possible, and we like to get a good spread of, say, domestic and international students as well, so that all of the voices are really represented well in those student reps. Does anyone have any questions about that at this stage? No? Beautiful. All right. I'm going to invite Casey up to talk about the Australian Physio Association. Beautiful. Would you like a lapel mic or a big one?
I'm really loud
Okay.
when I speak, so I think if I speak to you through the microphone, you might like go boom up the back. It's very quiet in here, everyone. I was like, gee whiz, for physio students. I was like, where are you? Thank you so much, Kelly, for having me. My name is Casey Garnett. I am the State Manager for SA and Northern Territory for the Australian Physiotherapy Association. So when I say to you things like cancer patients, erectile dysfunction, and even Grey's Anatomy, I'm actually talking about physiotherapy and the profession that, congratulations, you've just gotten into. I know it's one of the hardest courses in Australia, and it is very, very much sought after. So you're all smart cookies in this room. I know that. So you need to sign up for the Australian Physiotherapy Association right now. If you've got your phones, if you've got your laptops, otherwise I have brought a whole bunch of stuff here that you can grab afterwards. We've got like a little QR code. Be patient with it. It can be a bit clunky, persist. If that doesn't work, like I said, I'll show you the website. I've got some little bits here. Grab it going on. I can't even pronounce it. Kelly, goniometer? There you go. So this will help you throughout the next 2 years. It's a measuring tool. So there's one free for everyone. And then there's a few of these as well. They don't look very exciting in the box, but if you go travelling or whatnot and you need little bits for your phone and laptop and whatnot, that is for you as well. So like I said, I'm here to welcome you to physiotherapy, because who I represent is your association. You don't have a union as physiotherapists. You have the APA. We are non-for-profit association representing physiotherapy, physiotherapists, physiotherapy in the public, and we have been doing it for over 150 years. So we are outside of the university, of course. So we are Australian, and we have over 36,000 members in Australia. That's really big. You choose to be a member of your association. We're like your football team, we're like your tribe. And you sign up right from the time that you're a student, and we are there for you right through to when you retire. But why you want to sign up as a student is it's free. So you get all access to the APA that a full-paying physiotherapist does, which will cost you over $1,000 once you are 5 years out of university. But I know this is your first day, you're quite sort of overwhelmed, so I'll try and compact it in as much as I can to make it sound exciting, because I think that it really is. So how we sort of represent physiotherapy in a nutshell is we work behind the scenes on professional development, on insurance, on advocacy items. So you might not have been aware, but some real big ticket items in the future that the APA work on behind the scenes is a Medicare item. So the normal everyday Australian can come and see a physiotherapist and not have to pay out of their pocket or have to pay through their private health insurance. We would like prescribing rights. We would want to make sure that with the NDIS system, physiotherapist does not get cut again on their fee schedule. The more members we have, the more voice we have, the more we can do. But how do we help you at university? Well, all of these things. So we're actually based in Kent Town, which is in the city on Fullerton Road, just near the National Wine Centre. Please don't think it's that far to go from here to there. It's probably 25 minutes. And what we do is we will host student events such as taping workshops, machine Pilates, the whole areas of the body. So we have networking events. We also give membership, sort of discount for benefits with your membership. So with physiotherapy, like I said at the start, so with cancer patients, we have physiotherapists who actually help them once they're going through their treatment, get their mobility back, obviously help them actually live a life after they've had cancer. Erectile dysfunction, women's and men's pelvic health is one of the biggest growing physiotherapy areas in Australia, and then of course Grey's Anatomy. I've had a physiotherapist in SA, his name's James Schomburg, who got to work in LA on the Grey's Anatomy set as a consultation expert. With physiotherapy, you can pivot, you can start in one area and think, gee, actually it's not quite for me, I'm going to try something else. There's over 20 interest areas that the APA have. We have committees in every single state. So here in SA, we have committees for all of these. You're welcome to join them as a student, but we also have a student committee as well. It looks great on your CV. It helps you get involved. It helps you get outside of this university and start networking with people as well. We have special interest groups, so if you're quite passionate about the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander, bridging the gap, reconciliation, and of course LGBTQ+. With your student membership, we also give you insurance. I know that sounds a little bit sort of funny, but of course you get student insurance within Flinders, so when you're on your placements. However, as you grow in physiotherapy, if you want to be a physiotherapy aide, work in sports training, yoga, things like that, as you develop your scope, your student membership insurance covers you for doing those modalities outside of the university system. You'll still need to be, of course, observed by like a fully qualified physio, but at least you know if you touch somebody outside of school, you are covered with your APA membership. It's a real good one to have. You don't have to pay for that one. This is our website. So it does look a little bit more exciting when you actually do go to it, but this is where all of our information is stored. So if you want to sign up for membership outside of what I have here, this is where you will do it. This is where you'll find your PD, member benefits, any sort of advocacy updates that we have. Our website is always being updated for you. So please have a look. And also I will always, Flinders are wonderful with us. Any information that I have to give to you students, it will come to you as well. So how to get involved? We also look for student committee members. So if you want to be a rep outside of Flinders, you can join up with us. And of course we have students from the newly formed Adelaide University. I was actually there last Monday. They have 360 first year students. So the course is of course growing. It's still a lot of the time of not sort of like what you know, but who you know. So start getting out, start sort of having a look at what the APA can offer you. I very much take my own emails, my own phone calls. No question is ever silly. If you want to ask me a question about physiotherapy, or if you're going for a job, for example, while you're going through your course, just give me an email. I'm here pretty much at your call if you need me. Okay, I did race through that, but I hope I kind of got you a little bit excited about what you're in for. And do you have any questions for me right now? Might not. No?
No.
Okay.
I know, so the APA conference, I forget what year I'm in, last year was in Adelaide, which was great. And I think a lot of our Flinders Uni students came and
We had
helped
12
out.
from Flinders.
Yeah.
As student volunteers. You got to go to the conference for free and sort of help us run it, but then you also, got to see any type of, I think the program, we had over 200 speakers. It was massive. It went over 4 days. So there's always opportunities like that. We do have our little local essay symposium. It'll be on Saturday the 24th of October. We may need volunteers for that, so I'll put a call out for that. But you can attend that one day as well for a much discounted price than our members get to go to. But there's always sort of things popping up that we very much encourage you to come to. And everyone on staff here, we are so lucky, has been a member since they were a student. So we are consistently, we hope, supporting and just always a friendly face for you as you become physiotherapists. Thanks, Kelly.
No worries,
I very
thank
much
you so
appreciate
much.
it.
Thank you
So
for coming in.
please come up, or if you want to take that anywhere to another room, it's just
Some information. Beautiful. We're going to break up shortly and
let me just like lay it out.
that would be perfect, if that's all right. Thank you. Beautiful. All right. So I'm going to let you guys have a break in a minute. I just want to make sure I covered everything that I needed to this morning. Yes. Beautiful. All right. In that case, I'm more than happy to give you guys an early minute for morning tea. So just as an opportunity to get to know some people that perhaps you haven't met before today, I'm going to ask you to do a little activity. So can you pack up your belongings and be prepared to move around the room? We can stay seated for a minute. And then I'm going to ask you a few questions. These are very cool goniometers. I like them. Actually, I'm going to bring these over. All right. I will get you to stand up and move around in a minute, and then we'll head out after that. I feel like it pales in comparison. There is some Flinders University merchandise here as well. There are highlighters and little screen cleaners for like your phone and your glasses and your laptop. Anyway, they are there. When we get up and break for morning tea, please come up to the front and feel free to take something for the road. Thank you so much, Casey. All right, so let's break the ice. Can you please stand up if you ate breakfast this morning? Cool. All right, you can sit down. I'm incorporating a bit of exercise here, okay? Think about that curriculum framework. I'm just making sure we cover everything. Please stand up if this is your first time in this lecture theatre. Cool. All right, you can sit down. I know I've already asked this question, but please stand up if you moved to Adelaide to study this program. Excellent. Okay. Last one for now. Can you stand up if you've worked in a healthcare setting previously? Oh, that's a lot. Wow. Okay. Cool. Okay. So now what I'm going to ask you to do is we're going to stand up to different questions, and then we're going to split the room, and we're eventually going to keep splitting the groups until you've got little groups that you can head off to morning tea in. So you have to make a decision one way or the other. You can't sit on the fence, okay? Can you stand up if you prefer sweets over savoury? Beautiful. Can you grab your gear and can you head down here to the front? That's a pretty close to 50-50 split, isn't it? Cool. All right, so now this group, you'll split in a minute and then you guys will split in a minute too. Actually, can I get a show of hands first in case this is not a very good split? Who prefers warm weather to cold weather? Warm, you guys? Yeah, okay, I'm happy with that. So, cold weather people, you can stay at the front. Warm weather people, can you go up the stairs and stand up on the stage here, please? Cold weather people can stay seated. Warm weather people, can you head up on the stage but on that side, please? I don't think this stage gets used very much. Should we incorporate a bit more performance in the degree, maybe? Cool. So I'm going to have 2 groups of warm weather. Yeah. Cold weather. All right. Show of hands, who listens to podcasts regularly? I thought there were going to be more than that. Okay, scrap that one. Who arrived early today? Like I'm talking more than 5 minutes before we started. Yeah. Okay. Can you guys split? Whoever was early more in the middle. You guys, whoever was early more in the middle. So I should have 4 separate groups now. Early guys, if you can come down here. Early guys who are still sitting, can you come over here, please? And then anyone who's left sitting, I'm running out of space. Where do I put you? You can come right in front here. So everyone can come stand up now. Okay. These are not very even groups, but that's okay. So whoever was still sitting down, if we can make a separate group here. Now, I'll let you chat within your groups now, but these are important questions that I think you need to know, and I'll remind you of what they are in a minute. You are going to work out who is most likely to bring snacks to class. You want to know that person. Who will need coffee to survive at uni, so that we can all be aware for your own safety and we can feed you coffee as you need. Who will need you to cover for them because they turn up late to class? That's a trick question because no one's going to turn up late to class, are they? No. And who will be the calm one who just sorts everyone out at exam time, keeps it all mellow? Okay? So snacks, coffee, who's going to turn up late, and who's going to be the calm one? Have a quick chat. Once you've identified that person, pop your hand up. All right, so in your groups, have we worked out, can you put your hand up if you're nominated as the person who's bringing snacks? I'd also like to know who this person is. Yeah. Anyone? What? Yeah? No one? Did this group have a snack person? Okay. Who needs coffee? There might be more than one in each group here. Who needs coffee to survive? Well, it's not as many as I thought. I need coffee to survive, just for the record. Who would need someone to cover for them because they're going to turn up late? I won't look. And then who is going to be the cool, calm, collected one around exam time? Yes. Okay, we need these people. Pay attention to who these people are. All right, that is all for this morning. So we finished a little bit ahead of time. Please go and explore the campus if you don't know it already. I'm getting dizzy turning around. Go grab a coffee, grab a snack. and we will meet back here in this same room at 11:15. Okay? Thank you guys. Go and enjoy your break. You know, I said I really love the people that I work with because they delivered me a coffee in the break. So hopefully that's a good sign, part of the teaching staff we have. Okay, we're a little bit early, sorry. I'll give it a few minutes just to make sure everyone rolls back through. Alrighty guys, before we get into a bit more of a chat around the Master of Physio program, I don't want to play you video after video today, but I just want to play a welcome from Tracy Humphrey, who is the Vice President and Executive Dean of the College of Nursing and Health Sciences, or the VPED. Like I said, we love an acronym. So just a couple of minutes and a welcome from her.
We have just launched our 10-year strategy, Agenda 2035,
Beautiful. All right. So, as Tracy said, I think healthcare has changed significantly, certainly a lot since I graduated, and what will be asked of you will be a lot different to what I experienced studying and as a new graduate as well. But like I talked about before, we have every faith that with our close industry partnerships, we develop a program that prepares you for that when you're heading out into the workforce. And as she mentioned, there's certainly no shortage of demand for physios out there in healthcare. So that's good signs for you guys at the end of next year. All right, so let's have a little bit of a chat about what to expect over the next couple of years while you're studying. You have all completed an undergraduate degree, so you all have a university degree, but what to expect in the Masters and this physiotherapy specific program may be quite different to what you've experienced before. So we'll chat through that. Again, it's a bit dry, I'm sorry, but it's good to draw your attention to relevant policy for the program. So again, the Master of Physiotherapy course information page is our central hub of information related to the physiotherapy program here. We have a student handbook that outlines a lot of things around expectations, what we expect of you, what you can expect of us, what the program looks like, and those sorts of things. On the MPT course information page, there's also a particular module for placement information as well. So that's one resource you can go to find our placement manual, to find out more information about your placement sites and who to contact in relation to your placements as well. And then some links to some other pages like the Physiotherapy Professional Experience Placement page. So that contains all of the information around your compliance, so things like your police check, your working with children's check, your immunisation history, and those sorts of things that you'll need to provide to us before heading out on placement. The expectations around uniform, how to get your placement ID badge, which is separate to your student ID badge, and some information about rural placements, reimbursement for expenses, transport, accommodation, those sorts of things. As I mentioned before, APRA, it's important to understand what's in the Code of Conduct and how that applies to you as a student registered with APRA. And there's also a particular social media sort of statement release about how to meet your obligations around social media use under the national law. So it's intense, but it's a good read to sort of understand if you are talking about what it is that you're studying, or particularly talking about your clinical placements, you need to be very careful about anything that you do put out there publicly. In terms of Flinders University, if you've studied here before, hopefully some of these are not unfamiliar to you, but if you're new, there is a policy library at the website that's up there. The ones that we probably use the most or refer to are our assessment policy, practices and variation procedures. So that's things around what an assessment entails, how they need to be conducted, your responsibilities if you need to notify us around not being able to complete an assessment or wishing to resubmit an assessment, and also what constitutes reasonable grounds to ask for some sort of variation to an assessment as well. So that applies to things like written assessments and your exams here on site, but also applies to your placements as well. We will refer to that a lot when we're guiding you through the process, but if you can familiarise yourself, that also helps too. Policies around academic integrity, which I'll talk about a little bit more in a while, but what your responsibilities are around ensuring the work that you present to us is an honest representation of your own work and follows what we've outlined as appropriate use of any other resources such as AI. There are policies related to placement, so they come under this work integrated learning or WIL policy. That probably outlines a bit more of the expectations of you when you're out on placement, and if anything were to go wrong, basically what happens then. Student conduct, so what we expect of you as a student of Flinders University, not just in the Master of Physio. Appeals and complaints, so if you are unhappy with a decision or anything that's happened throughout your studies here, you have full access to those resources and you can appeal or make a complaint. Supporting student progress and success relates to some of the information that I provided earlier around student wellbeing and success, and changes to study plan, so if needing to modify what it is you're studying. So, I talked about you guys have an undergraduate degree already, but now we take a bit of a step up to master's level learning. So, what we expect of you over the next couple of years is that you will do all of these things, and we try to make sure that all of the activities that we have allow you to engage in these practices, but so that you know this is what we are expecting of you. So we do expect you to think deeply. We can't do the thinking for you, and when you come out as a qualified physiotherapist at the end of this, you certainly need to be able to do the thinking, to be able to break down problems and solve them. So you need to be able to critically reflect, analyse and synthesise complex information. And how we do that is scaffolded through the next 2 years. So we don't expect you to do complex things right at the start, but we'll help develop your skills over the couple of years so that you're well prepared for that by the end of next year. We expect you to solve real problems. So we do have a lot of sort of real life scenario, problem-based and case-based learning across all those different practice areas that we talked about before. So we want to relate what you're studying here to real life as much as possible. We do expect you to connect the dots. So as much as you might study your topics in isolation, you will be taking some of the skills that you learn and develop in some topics and carrying them forward into future topics, and maybe even topics that you're learning at the same time. You'll be using the skills from both together to develop. We do expect you to learn independently, so you need to ensure that you're on top of things, take initiative, self-direct your study, and adopt a mindset of, even if I don't know yet, I can find out, and have a plan in place to be able to do that. Talked about opportunities for peer learning earlier, so you do get the opportunity a lot to work together, to learn with each other, and sometimes with our second year students as well. So we encourage you to do that collaborative problem solving and learning from each other as much as possible. The teaching, I know we call ourselves teaching staff or academics, but we sort of see ourselves as guides or coaches rather than teachers. So we're facilitating your learning, but it's not, what we say is gospel and you do exactly what we say. We want to help develop you as people who can do that deep thinking, problem solving yourselves. We need you to do a lot of self-reflection. I think I've already talked about this morning. Identifying what you're doing well, maybe areas that you need to develop in a little bit more, and you need to be willing to reflect and self-appraise and really pay some attention to those areas for growth and address them yourself. We've already talked about professional behaviour within the next 2 years. We do expect professional communication. So this is with each other, and in class as soon as next week, I think you'll start practicing how you would speak to each other as a healthcare professional. So you'll be expected to do that in class. We also expect you to communicate professionally with us and with each other as you're working collaboratively as well. It is a full-time study load in the MPT. It is a busy year, as I've probably already outlined, and we do expect a fair amount of independent study and preparation as well. So please make sure you keep on top of your content. I'll talk about structure a little bit more later, but you really need to make sure that you're turning up to class prepared with the relevant information to make best use of your time here on campus. Does anyone have any questions about any of that? No? All right. I'm going to pause for a minute. I'm going to welcome Matt Hocking, who I spoke about earlier, told them all your deep dark secrets. Matt Hocking is our Placement Education Coordinator, so he's going to talk a bit more about the placement program.
Thank you.
That's fine. Hopefully that works. It wasn't working for me before.
Okay.
No. Put saved on the S-track.
Yeah.
Oh no. Oh no. Broke it. Right. Very fine. You can introduce yourself first anyway.
Sorry for the technical delays. I'm going to piggyback off what Kelly said quickly as we try and find the right slideshow. I think one of the biggest things that students coming into the Masters find hard is the jump from bachelor study to master's study. And some of you might have already done some master's study already, so you'll be aware. But if you haven't, it is a jump. It's different studying a master's. I've done it myself. It's different studying a master's to a bachelor. There's more work to do. So they're saying expect to do more work for your assessments and for your learning compared to your bachelor. The assessments are harder. The amount of self-directed learning is a lot greater. So things won't be kind of fed to you as easily. You'll be expected to kind of find things out for yourself. And so when you say things like, I'd really like more resources on this, the lecturers don't have all the information that I want to know. We'll say, cool, okay, here's some websites you can go and find it from. So it is different. Be ready for that. And it takes a period of adaptation and you'll get there. But be ready for that jump in workload and expectations on you as students. Okay, so as Kelly said, my name is Matt. You're going to see me a couple of times today now around placements and then this afternoon around one of your topics that you'll study this semester on MSP skills. But like I said, we're talking about placements, which is a really big and important part of this course. So you will spend 26 weeks in the next 2 years on placement. So that's essentially 6 months of your 2-year course will be spent out on placement, practicing and learning how to be a physio. And there's lots that you need to do and would help you with to prepare for that. So placements, ignore those dates. I was meant to change those, but I didn't. From 2026 to 2027 are the chance to apply and consolidate your knowledge and skills. So you're going to learn skills and knowledge and a whole range of different things in the classroom, and it's going to be somewhat kind of compartmentalised, separated from each other and from real-world practice. And so when you go out on placement, it's your chance to apply those things. You will learn some new skills, but basically if you pass a topic, you pass musculoskeletal peripheral skills. We're saying you know enough and can do enough in order to go out on placement. And so we tell your placement providers, we want them to have opportunities to practice applying these things with patients. So go to placement, come in, go to placement expecting to practice consolidating and applying what you've learned. It's not really the place to learn new things. It's more about to kind of put into practice the things you've already learned. In a professional setting, I guess that's the other thing about placement. We often think, well, as a student, I remember sitting there as well, you often think, great, I'm going to practice doing these skills and these treatments with patients. A really big part of what you learn and practice on placement is the patient interaction and the professionalism and communication and things that we can't really simulate in a classroom. So as well as the clinical skills, you're going to practice a whole range of non-clinical skills. You might think, why I have a job and why do I have to learn how to communicate with patients? One of the big reasons is it makes you more effective. So 60% research says of how effective you are as a physio is how much your patients like you. So you want your patients to like you in order for your treatment to be effective. The other reason is when you go for a job, most providers these days don't care much about your clinical skills because they know they can keep teaching you that. If you've got a degree, then they know you've got enough. And they care about how well you can talk to people and how responsible you are and those types of professionalism things. So that's why we get you to learn those and we even mark you on those things on placement as well. So you can ask questions of me or Kelly about placements as we go. If you want to, you can scan this QR code, which will take you to the end. Oh, yes, Kelly's got it.
I think I worked it out. So if you want to scan it now, and as Matt's talking, if any questions come up, you can pop them in and we'll answer them at the end.
Or feel free to put your hand up and ask them live. That's also welcomed. If after going through this you've got any questions or concerns specific to you about your situation, please email me and make a time and we can chat about that and go through and find some solutions. We can pretty well find solutions to most problems when it comes to placement. We're pretty creative. All right. So first, here's the placement support team. So we have a team of us, 6 of us, as you can see on there, who are involved in supporting you on placement and your placement sites. So there's myself as a placement education coordinator, and really my role is to oversee all the placements in the placement sites and make sure we've got enough placements to send you to, that they're in the right areas, that they're good places to send you to, that are going to teach you well and have good supervisors. And then the placement support team, they support you and the site day to day. So when you're out on the placement and you've got a question or a concern or something comes up or you or your supervisor needs help at that point in time, then your placement support person from the uni will get involved and help you. So that's kind of how the team is split. And each of us have certain types of placements that we look after. So I look after all of the private practice MSK placements, whereas Jared, who's next to me up there, he looks after all the rural placements. So if you go out to a rural or regional placement, he's the uni support person. So we all have little areas that we look after. Catherine Shepherd, who's all the way on the right there, she looks after our Health to Go placements. So do you guys know about Health to Go yet? Who's heard of that before? Okay, some of you have. So if you haven't, it's our student clinic here on campus, just kind of out that door and then down the road and then around the corner a little bit. There's a range of allied health in there, and we have physio placements all year long in there, and a lot of you will do a placement in there. Also, for your benefit, there's very cheap, accessible allied health services, so physiotherapy or optometry, so a range of different things that you as students can go and access as well. It's a public clinic. Anyone from the public can come to it. So, as I said, you'll spend 26 weeks full-time equivalent, so it's full-time, normally 8 till 4 or 9 till 5, 26 weeks of that across the placement, across the program, sorry. So that's more than 1,000 hours that you'll spend out on placement. There are a range of different practice areas that you'll do that in. So we try and give you a placement in a musculoskeletal setting. Think about that like your neck pain or sprained ankle physio. A neurological setting. Think about that like stroke rehab or brain injury rehab. And a cardiorespiratory setting. Think about that like pulmonary rehab or someone with COPD, those sorts of things. So we try and give you those core areas. And then we make sure you have placements in different settings. And what we mean by settings is make sure you have a placement in an acute care setting, so inpatient wards in a hospital. And then also a rehab setting. And I'm always confused about this. Rehab would be outpatients?
Can be either. So you can
Cool.
be inpatient rehab, which is my experience, like I was telling you guys about. So a rehab ward in a hospital, but where the focus is a bit different from acute hospital, where it's a bit more fast-paced and more acutely unwell patients. This is more a rehab focus, or it could be an outpatient rehab service where people are coming in to visit for their rehab.
And usually people with neurological conditions and long-term recoveries. And then it could be a community setting, which a private practice would count as that, or an aged care facility or a paediatric clinic or something like that. And then we also make sure we give you experiences across the lifespan, so with paediatric clients, adult clients and older adult clients. We also have some additional types of experiences like interprofessional practice. That's a really big area that we focus on here at Flinders. And that just means placements where you get to work with other students and health professionals from other disciplines. So perhaps placements where you're working with OT students and speech path students and exercise physiology students to provide a service to clients, and you're working closely together on the same clients. So one thing to appreciate about this is we're juggling a lot when we try and work out where you're going for your 6 placements that you'll complete. We have to make sure that you get enough experience in all of these areas, and that often creates some limited flexibility in your allocations, okay? So when it comes to placements, you'll have lots of questions about this is a long way to travel, and why am I here, and can I swap that around and not do these dates? And we try and accommodate that as much as we can, but at the same time, in order for you to graduate and for us to be able to say to the right people, like APRA for example, yes, they've done everything they need to be a physio, we have to make sure that you get all of these types of experiences, and that can be hard juggling that for 100 students. Okay? So that's part of the thing to appreciate. The second part is this is also really important just to make sure that you're actually ready to work as a physio. So at the moment, you might come into it and think, I'm going to be a sports physio. I'm going to the Brisbane 32 Olympics, and I'm going to be the physio for gout. That's my dream, and you've already decided on it. The reality is, whether you do that or not, you could also go and get a job in a hospital looking after patients in ICU, and you could go and get a job in a neuro facility looking after patients with a brain injury. So it doesn't matter whether you want to do it or not. You could as a physio, so you need to learn how to do that as a physio. You could go work with paediatric clients or older adults. And so we need to teach you how to do all of those things and give you experience doing them so that you're work ready and you could go out and get a job in any of those settings. Also, if you've decided to be gout physio, that could be amazing. Keep my number and get me free tickets to the 2032 Olympics. But keep an open mind, okay? You might change that when you get to experience different things.
Just so you know, before when Sasma were here, Danielle asked who was interested in sports physio, and a lot of hands went up. And I just need you guys to know that it is one of my greatest pleasures in life is turning people from sports physio to something like neuro rehab. So watch out, I'm coming for you.
Yeah, you'll be all right. My background's sports physio, so I'm on your team. And we share an office, so I can keep the seatbelt on her, stay away from the sports physios. Okay, so we have a range of placement partners, and this is, I guess, is to give you an idea of where you might be on placement. So we have a whole range of SA Health sites. That's Flinders Medical Centre, it's Royal Adelaide Hospital, Queen Elizabeth Hospital, a whole range of hospitals, big public hospitals across Adelaide, and you might do an inpatient, an outpatient, or a community placement there. We have lots of regional sites, so Mount Gambier, Port Lincoln, Barmera, Renmark, a whole range of regional and rural sites where you might be in a public hospital or a private practice or different settings. ACTRA Private Hospitals ACTRA is a group that owns a bunch of private hospitals like Ashford and Flinders Private, and so you could go to placement at one of them. We've got community disability settings, so Novita is a big one, working with adults and children, Brain Injury SA, the MS Society, a private practice called Neuromoves. So these are often private practices, perhaps sometimes with some government funding, often involved in NDIS, and they're all community settings. We've got some aged care providers. We have a growing number of private practices, so this is kind of one of my project areas, and fortunately for you guys, we've seen a lot of growth in this recently. We've gone from, I think in 2023, 8 students in total did a private practice placement, and this year we should have 70 students do it. So hopefully when it gets to placements for you guys next year, we'll have enough for nearly every one of you to go out to a private practice and do a placement, and they're all across Adelaide and regional settings as well. And then we have some other placements that are hard to categorise, like we have Northern Territory placements in Alice Springs, in Darwin. We had a great one recently which we hope to get back for next year in a regional setting called Nhulunbuy. We have some placements in Victoria, both hospital, community and private practice as well. So a whole range of places that you could go. And just to show you that visually, particularly if you're not from Adelaide, this image on the left is just Metro Adelaide. And you can see that Metro Adelaide is long and skinny. It could take you, I mean, if you're from Adelaide, you know, right? If you're to drive from, say, Seaford all the way down at the bottom to Gawler all the way at the top, that's probably what, like an hour and a half or something like that to drive that. So it's long and skinny, which means on a metro placement, you could be a whole range of places across Adelaide. One thing to note on this is, even though you might be on a metro placement, depending on where you live, you could have to travel an hour, even a little bit more than an hour to get to placement. We appreciate that's inconvenient. We're quite limited sometimes in where we can send you to give you those experiences, and I would expect, if I was you, to have at least one placement where you're having to travel a considerable way just for a metro placement, okay? Like I said, we try not to do that, but often it happens. We also have those 3 local health networks, we call them. So the purplish pink one at the bottom is Southern Adelaide or Sarlan, and then the yellow one is Central Adelaide or Carlin, and the one at the top is Narlan or Northern Adelaide. And so we talk about placements in Sarlan, Carlin or Narlan, and that's what we mean. And then on the right, you can see those same what we call local health networks, which are across the state. And so there's a whole range, some really big, some really small, where you might go for a regional placement as well. And then some into other states also. Some sites will require you to have a driver's license, and so we send out a survey to find out if you have a car and you have a driver's license, because we can't send you to a site if you don't have a car and driver's license that require you to drive. Some require you to be able to swim because they do hydrotherapy. So there's some requirements like that. We find out from you if you can meet those and don't send you somewhere that you can't get to or do the services at. Just jump in at any point if you want, Kelly. Okay, so talked briefly about Health to Go. So here's some of the services that we have in there. Health to Go is a great placement. I'll be honest, unfortunately, it's got a bad rap amongst students. And so if you talk to our current second years, you'll probably hear from a lot of them that it's a hard placement, and if you can get something else that might be good for you. But the benefit of Health to Go, I'm going to spruik it now, okay? The benefit of Health to Go is you get amazing supervision. One of the reasons is we have...
in the clinic.
Yeah, I'm there. A range of your supervisors, of your teachers are there, also some casual staff members who are practicing clinicians. So we get people who are actually out in private practices working 4 days a week who come into the clinic to supervise you guys 1 day a week as well. So you get supervised by not just your lecturers, but actual clinicians, people who are mainly clinicians. I say mainly because a lot of your lecturers are also working as clinicians at the same time. We have this thing called an MLS system. It's cameras and microphones in the room. That sounds scary, but what it means is we don't have to be in the room with you. So you can be in the room with the patient on your own, and we can sit outside on our laptop and watch and listen and make sure you're keeping your patient safe and doing things effective and give you really good feedback. We have some really interesting patients come through. You get to work with lots of other disciplines. It is a really good placement to learn. Yes, I'll admit it's a hard placement at times, but the students who do it get to the end and say, that was really worthwhile. I learnt a lot through this. So, and as I said before, probably most of you will get an experience, placement experience at Health to Go. As I said, we have placements in the Northern Territory. So currently we have placements in Alice Springs and hopefully Darwin. And we've previously had placements where that blue star is in a place called Nhulunbuy. Do we want to show the video?
Yeah, let's go for it.
Okay, so we've got a video from the Nhulunbuy placement, which could be really cruel to show you this and then not offer you a placement there. But hopefully we can, and this will whet your appetites for what it could be like. We're going to have to sign in. Stand by.
Hold on.
So one other thing we try and prepare you for, really intentionally, is culturally responsive practice. And we have a strong focus, given we're in Australia, on Indigenous, so Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islanders. But this also applies to all cultures from around the world. And these regional placements in particular, not just the Northern Territory ones, but all of our regional placements are really great settings in order to learn and refine your cultural responsiveness. And that's what you'll see a lot in this video. But it's something that we put time and effort into in order to prepare you for that, because a lot of physios are seeing more and more clients that identify as an Indigenous Australian and have slightly different needs culturally and socially compared to a non-Indigenous client.
This is a quick video covering a few highlights from our recent physiotherapy placement in Nhulunbuy, East Arnhem and Northern Territory. This person was my favourite placement. It was an eye-opening experience, and one that I recommend highly to anyone who's interested in remote Indigenous healthcare. We spent 8 weeks up there with a group of other healthcare students who are primarily community-based cardiac rehab physio, which involves seeing a client-based in the Carla aged care, as well as running a session with the Woodmark children and half aged care group once a week. We also got the opportunity to fly and drive out to remote communities to see FLS clients ranging from children with growth development to delay, prostate rehab, Parkinson's disease, intellectual disorders, and much more. Seeing how Indigenous people live and receive healthcare in these environments was a immediate valuable experience. Building rapport and trust was a crucial skill that we developed, which was important as trust-led participation, and that was a rewarding part, very big part of it. We had to recognise that healthcare is not always the number one priority for families. This often meant that clients were always time we visited, which meant being flexible and accommodating change plans was key. Our physiotherapy involved in traditional on-country activities such as fishing, cutting down trees for views, picking pandas for weeding, digging up tree roots and grass roots for different colour dyes, making spears, mud muscling and oyster picking. All of these activities are the only people's preferable form of exercise, and they don't enjoy exercising for no reason. On top of this, we also tried to do a lot of outcome measures like 6-minute walk tests for respiratory treatments such as bubble PEP and ACPT, and general assessments. However, the volume was quite challenging at times. Depending on the time of year, you can expect very hot, humid weather, rain, awesome beaches and sunsets, pristine waterholes, crocs, and an incredibly welcoming community. The accommodation is great, there's so much happening in town. There are more sports than you can think of, including pickleball, mixed footy, swimming, as well as events like pop shed every Sunday for live music. Looking back, the biggest skill I developed were patience and cultural events. Understanding the things that I had when I learned to be adaptive was crucial. Going with an open mind, minimal expectations, and a willingness to adapt will be massively making an enjoyable, successful, and fun placement.
So that could be something you guys get to do next year. Hopefully that you might be slightly interested, even more than slightly interested after seeing that.
Just briefly, I was very, 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 very fortunate to visit Nhulunbuy last year while we had a couple of students up there, and I didn't have an experience like that or even close to that when I was studying or even in my clinical experience since graduating, and it was a huge eye-opener for me around being able to be flexible and adaptable in your approach to healthcare. I've primarily worked in hospitals where people very much accept, I'm sick, I'm unwell, I'm unable, I'm in hospital, you will tell me what to do. And that experience really just flipped the table completely. So it was very much me going in and having to adapt to the culture and the environment that I was in and be led by the healthcare consumers rather than the other way around. So I've seen the students who have gone on that placement or comparable rural placements, particularly in these really remote areas, they develop that ability really quickly, and then sort of their well-rounded skill base by the time that they graduate is incredible. So, big advocate for it.
Yes, I'd love to go. I think it looks amazing. So you might be wondering, when are you going to do all these placements in your program? And if I can get the slide to work, I'll show you. Okay, so here is an overview of the 2 years. Okay, so we're in semester 1, year 1 at the moment, and in one of your topics, performance of movement and function, we often call it PMF. At the end of that, you'll do a 1 week, call it observational, but ideally more shared care placement. So that happens in June this year. You'll each be given a 1 week placement somewhere. And the main goals are around developing professionalism and communication and risk management, but you ideally get opportunities under supervision to apply some of the skills that you've been learning. Then in second semester, one of the subjects that you'll study is called Physiotherapy Clinical Practice. We often shorten that to PCP. And at the end of that, you will do your first 5-week full-time placement. And so that will occur in really either October or November of this year. You'll do your first 5-week full-time placement. We call that early practice. I'll explain a bit about what that means later. So that's when you do your first one, end of this year. Then next year, you can see those yellow boxes in year 2. So you do 2 5-week placements in first semester and 2 in second semester. Alongside those, you'll have other subjects. So in first semester, you have an intensive period of neuro rehab teaching, and then an intensive 1 week of professional practices and health systems, and then assignments that you would do for that topic across the rest of the semester. And similarly, in semester 2, you have assignments that you do alongside placements. These placements occur in 5-week blocks. So we talk about National Block 1 or MB1 and so forth. This is all terminology you become very familiar with. Pretty well every uni in Australia uses the same 5-week blocks, which is why they're called national blocks. And so there's 4 in each semester, and you'll be on placement in 2 of those and doing study or assignments or something in the other 2 of them. Each of these placement topics has a topic coordinator, and that just means that's one of your main contacts for about that placement. If you have concerns leading up to or afterwards, they're listed there. You don't need to remember who they are. We'll remind you later. This is another very intense map, but just shows you the blocks that I told you about and where you might be going on placement within your whole study schedule. So you can see this is year 1, and this is mid-year, so I think these dates actually need to be corrected, ignore those exact dates. But so in June, you could go on placement in one of these 3. So we split you all up into 3 groups. Group 1 goes out in the first week, Group 2 in the second, and Group 3 in the third. You then will do one of these blocks down here for your first placement. and then you do 2 of these blocks in first semester next year and 2 of these blocks in second semester next year. One thing to keep in mind is placements can change last minute for reasons out of our control. And so we tell you a lot that, for example, this year, you were at uni until the start of December. What often happens, well, sometimes happens, is we release your placements and students will find out they're going out on placement in block 8 here, and they think, you beauty, I'm going on holiday in block 9. I'm not going to be in Adelaide, I'm going to leave early. And then 3 weeks before placement, we say, oh my goodness, your supervisor's just resigned. They can't host you anymore. We're having to move your placement to block 9. And the student says, but I'm going to Europe. I won't be here. And we go, I hope you got cancellation. You're having to go on placement. So expect to be on placement at any point throughout the uni year, and don't think just because your allocation is for one block that it might not change. Okay? Be available for things to change. Don't go scheduling holidays and things that you can't, that take you out of Adelaide and out of uni in your normal uni calendar. Now, if you have set things that meet the requirements, we call them unforeseen or exceptional circumstances. If you have things like that which prevent you from being on placement in a block, come and talk to me as soon as possible and tell me about them, and if they meet that, we can accommodate those within your allocations. But things like holidays and work and football grand finals don't meet those requirements, okay? Just FYI. So, placement logistics. There are some things that you have to do to get ready for placements. And if you remember nothing else from this whole presentation than this, you're setting yourself up well, okay? Start doing these this week. Don't leave them. There's always 1 or 2 students who leave it very late and don't get it done in time, and that is bad for them. It impacts them quite negatively. So start this ASAP. Get it done ASAP. Don't leave it, okay? So one big thing that you need to do is compliance. There's a range of different compliance elements you need to provide to the university that basically says you are fit for practice and able to go out on placement. And that's things like police checks and working with children checks. It's evidence of vaccinations. It's blood tests showing that you are vaccinated against certain conditions. There's a whole range of things, and I'll show you where to find out what they are, that you need to get organised before you go out on placement. If you don't have them, so you're not compliant in time, we often can't change your placement, and so you just fail that placement because you just can't be there. Okay, so it's not going to like, oh, I forgot I ran out of time. Can you push my placement back? Often the response is no, we can't because we've got limited options, and so this is still your placement. Just get it done, and when it's done, you can start your placement. And if that means you're only there for 1 week, you're probably going to fail. Don't let that happen. Start this week. Okay. I said we've got 5-week placements, they're full-time. One exception to that is we have some longitudinal placements. So Nhulunbuy, the video you just saw is an example where you do 8 weeks instead of 5. There's some other sites who can't accommodate a student 5 days a week, so instead they might have you 3 days a week, and so you do your placement over 8 weeks instead of over 5 weeks. That happens sometimes, and we'll make that really clear to you if that is the placement you're going on. There's also different scopes or roles for students within placements. Often you'll be doing one-on-one patient care, but you might also be leading group classes. You'll have chances to observe your supervisors or do what we call shared care. So you'll treat the same client with your supervisor at the same time and do things together. You'll be involved in meetings, in discharge planning, in planning for sessions or exercise classes. You might even help out with research if your supervisor's doing that, or educating clients. We have one placement with a sports high school called Sports College of South Australia, and so when you go there you're involved in teaching curriculum to high school students because that's what the physio does there, or working on different projects. More and more placements will give you a project to do across your 5 weeks and some time to get that project done. So there's a whole range of activities you'll get to participate in on placement. We've told you a bit about the allocation process. So we need to make sure you meet the requirements in order to graduate and that you're graduate ready. We do consider your individual needs as much as possible, so again, please talk to me or let me know as soon as you can if you have circumstances you want considered, and I'll let you know if we can or we can't and what that looks like. So don't be scared to ask, but just understand that there's some that we can, some that we can't consider. And then sometimes you'll get into professional supervision, which means you'll be on placement and you might not always be supervised by a physio. You might be supervised by an exercise physiologist or an OT. That would only be for part of your placement, but it's a really important experience for you to have because more and more clinics are working interdisciplinary, and you might have a supervisor in a clinic who's not a physio. You might have shared supervision as an employee between a physio and an OT or something. So that's a great experience to develop those interprofessional skills and to mimic real life. Quick comment on rural and remote placements. So every student, and I would refine that slightly to every domestic student, is expected to do at least one rural or remote placement. So if you're a domestic student, you will be doing a rural or remote placement unless you have exceptional extenuating circumstances. The reason we don't put this requirement on international students is international students can't access the financial support from the university, the government, because you're an international student. If you're an international student and you want to do a rural or remote placement, we're more than happy to arrange one for you, so please let me know. But just so you're aware, you'd have to arrange and pay for your own transportation there and accommodation whilst you're at that site. So what counts as a rural or remote placement? Pretty well anything that's more than 100 kilometres from the city. So that means places like Mount Barker or Gawler don't count as a rural or remote placement. Again, we appreciate that if you live in Seaford, travelling to Gawler is a long way, and perhaps if you were at Victor Harbour, which does count as a rural remote placement, it would be less travel time. Unfortunately, that's just sometimes how it goes. But so because it's outside 100 kilometres, there are a range of placements, range of sites that do count as that. So ones like Strathalbyn and Victor, Murray Bridge. Sorry, I'm reading that wrong. Some of these count as rural placements, but they as metro placements. For example, Galway. I'm confusing this. Can I start this slide again, Kelly? Can you reset? I'm confusing myself.
No, that's fine.
Just rewind your mind, okay? Let me tell you a few things about rural and remote placements. So domestic students, you've got to do one, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so what counts as a rural remote placement? More than 100 kilometres outside Adelaide. There's some sites that are a long way from you where you live, but would count as metro. There's other sites that aren't very far out of Adelaide. Perhaps they don't meet that, but they're still kind of like a rural placement because they provide things like accommodation. So if you have to go down to Victor Harbour for your placement, there's uni accommodation down there that you can stay in whilst you're there if you want to. You might not want to, you might want to travel back and forth every day, but there are those provisions at some of those sites that are closer to Adelaide. As I said, rural or remote includes interstate, so you might be given a placement that is outside South Australia. And if you are really interested in rural or remote health and working in there, or you're from a rural region, we can arrange more than one placement for you if you like. And sometimes we had a student last year who was from Berry, and we arranged 2 placements back to back for them in Berry. So they spent 10 weeks back at their hometown. So that is possible if that's something that you would like. Please just email me and let me know. For rural and remote placements, domestic students, as I said, get financial support. So you get money from the uni towards accommodation, you get access to uni accommodation, that's very cheap. You get money either for petrol or if you have to fly to get to the sites to help you get there. So you get financial supports. You don't get money, unfortunately, to be there, so they don't pay you to be on placement. And so one thing to consider is if you're going on a rural placement, you're probably not able to do your work. You might be close enough to come back for the weekend and still do some weekend work, but you're not going to be able to do your weeknight work. And so you need to make plans for that. Tell your work, for example, and also think about finances so that you can continue to support yourself whilst you're on placement at these sites. All right, some quick frequently asked questions. Here we go, good segue. Can I continue with paid work whilst on placement? The short answer is yes, you can. We don't say no and forbid you from that. The thing to consider is placement is busy. Placement is a full-time job. Uni is a full-time job. There's a lot of work and hours expected of you whilst you're at uni. So you're expected to do 40 hours a week of study, both in person and at home whilst you're at uni. And so it's the same on placement. 5 weeks, full-time, 40 hours a week. Probably during 8 till 5, but some sites like private practices might have you there on a Saturday morning or an evening until 8 o'clock or something like that to reflect their hours that they operate in. And so whilst, yes, you can, our general advice is you be very mindful about how much you're doing so that it doesn't impact your performance and your ability to learn and demonstrate skills at placement. A lot of students, what we find is start off trying to do all the normal activities, work or sport or that type of thing, and they get a couple of weeks into placement and they get their first feedback and they're not quite going as well as they expected, and they decide to scale back and they stop a shift and don't go to a training and things like that, and they find that they have more time, not just for placement but to sleep and to binge Netflix for a while and recover, or whatever it might be that you need to recharge so that you don't kind of burn yourself out whilst on placement. So be very mindful of that, of how much you commit to doing whilst you're on placement. It is like full-time work. There's sometimes, this doesn't apply so much anymore because fortunately for us COVID has really settled down, but there's sometimes where you might be working in a high-risk setting and there might be additional requirements on you that, so for example, when COVID was a thing, you might not be able to go to certain places and continue to come to that high-risk setting, or the chance of exposing yourself to a disease which could really impact the health of the people that you're working with. That's specific to some sites, and we'll tell you about that if that is the case. Flinders do offer financial support and advice for all students, not just around rural and remote placements. You can find that on that link just there, finance and support, around the student support services. They're things like interest-free or low-interest loans, or help around budgeting and things like that. So if you do have concerns, there are supports within the uni around finances. So what can I organise my own placement site? Generally the answer is no. And the reason is a lot of back work goes into organising a placement site, making sure that they can offer you the experiences that you need. They've got adequate supervisors to supervise you. They know how to assess you. There's agreements that have to happen between the uni and the site around insurances and all these types of things. So it's quite a process. So generally the answer is no, you can't. However, I'll put, again, my little private practice placement hat on. If you know a private practice, or that could be muscle, it could be neuro, it could be somewhere you work that has physiotherapy, and they're interested in having students and they don't currently, you can tell me about them and give me a contact detail, and I can explore that with them. I can't promise anything will come from it, but I'm always happy to talk to new sites who are interested in hosting students. So that's the one caveat. If you have concerns, what can you do? If they're personal concerns about your own participation in placement, availability, all that type of stuff, fitness for practice, you can come and talk to me as the placement education coordinator. If it's things around compliance, Chris Ariskog, who's someone who you all get to know, she works in, it's called our WIL team, our Work Integrated Learning, and she looks after all the compliance side of things, and she'll email you about that, and she's a good person to ask with questions around that. If you're on placement, when we get to that and you've got concerns about day-to-day things, you can contact your uni support person. You can also get in touch with Kelly. Kelly last year was the placement education coordinator, and I've then taken it over from her because she's stepped up in the world to course coordinator, and so she's also very knowledgeable and would be a great person to talk to about placement as well as course things, so you can talk to her. Where can you find more information? If it's about our placements, then when you get access to the Masters of Physiotherapy flow page, there's a range of information on there. If it's about compliance, there is a website that you can go to, it will be on the next slide, and that has all the information you need about the things you need to be compliant for. And again, I'd highly recommend that this week you go and look at that site and see all the things you need to do and make a plan to get them done ASAP. Remember, you have to get them done by May, the beginning of May. Don't wait till then. Do it now. And what can you do to prepare? The main thing at the moment is go to class and learn the things in class and pass your exams and learn that as much as you can. And do your compliance. They're probably the two things to worry about at the moment. As we get closer to placements at the end of the year, there'll be some extra things that we can tell you about specific for those placements.
Yeah. Some other things I'll add is that placement ID badge, which I mentioned before, is separate to your student ID. So you should be able to find links to that on the slide that Matt will put up next. And placement uniforms, we still need to just confirm a few details, but we do encourage you to order them early so that you have them ready to go for prac exams, because you'll be expected to wear them for prac exams and simulation in first semester as soon as you've got them, but definitely to have your uniform ready for placement in June.
Yes, and your first assessment or sim in MSP1 that you need to wear it for will be like in April, late April. So get on uniform. Last year uniforms took ages, so do that this week as well.
We'll just confirm the details for you because there was a little bit of a change in supplier.
Yes, there is one supplier. We're going to have two, I believe. There's one that's pre-existing who's actually at uni many days at the moment, and you can go and visit them and talk to them in person and try on sizes and stuff like that. There's an announcement on the flow page about that. I can repost it if needed, but otherwise you can go there to the announcements section and see, they're called Valerie Travers. You can see when they're going to be here at the Sturt campus. So where do you find more information? So this is the website, the QR code takes you to this website that I was saying that you should all check out as a matter of importance this week, and that tells you about all the compliance things. So the checks you need to get, the proof of vaccinations you need to have, all those types of things. It's also got information on about uniforms and ID badges and those types of things. So uniform will be the polo top that you have to buy, and then navy blue trousers, and blue or black shoes. And that's completely black, so not big white lines on the side or pink soles or something like that. But kind of, we're thinking it can be sneakers, it can be all black Asics or something like that, but all black, more formal, not Doc Martens, but not very casual, brightly coloured. The trousers, they can't be trackies, they can't be tights, they can't be jeans. So it can be chinos, it can be dress tailored pants, it can be, female examples please.
Female chinos, I don't know.
Cool.
Yeah, just professional looking trousers, nothing that has the jogger bottom, like the elastic around the ankle, and no scrub pants. They're okay if they're more loose fitting professional looking ones, but again, not the ones that have the elastic at the bottom. As much as that would be fine for a hospital placement, it might not necessarily be in private practice. If you are looking to get something and you're unsure, please drop by our office and we'll give you the tick of approval or thumbs down if we don't think it suits.
Yeah, you want to make sure you can move in them. You're going to have to squat and bend and kneel and stuff like that. But they can't be too casual. One note is you'll probably go on placement and see your supervisors or other staff members wearing all the things we're saying don't wear, like wearing tights or wearing shorts or that type of thing. That is okay in that site for that employee. They're going to have different requirements on them about uniforms set by their employer. Effectively think about your employer as being Flinders Uni. And so Flinders Uni set your uniform requirements. And that's because you're there representing Flinders Uni. You're wearing Flinders Uni logo, you're a student of Flinders Uni, and so you have to represent Flinders Uni in the way we ask you to. And we ask you to do that by wearing this uniform, whether your supervisors are wearing it or not. You can get more information from the MPT course page. So that's the flow page just for MPT. There's a placement information module on there with a whole range of information. You can see a little screenshot of it on the slide there. You can come and talk to me as a placement education coordinator, or any of the members of the placement education team that we showed the pictures before, or you can talk to the WIL team, which is mainly Chris Araskog. So she is the member of the WIL team that supports physiotherapy. This is Chris's email, or you can email CNHS placements that goes to that WIL team and it will find its way to Chris. Please also look out for emails from Chris and this team that will come to your uni email, and that will be for things around compliance. So please get those things in ASAP, and she'll come emailing you and chasing you if they're not in when she expects them. I think she'll also send you information about in place. Is that right? Or that comes from,
Yeah, I think that's where you upload all of your compliance documents anyway.
Cool. And in place is something you'll learn about later, but it's also where you'll see your placement allocations and where you're going and details of the site. So the placement requirements, the compliance stuff, again, just quickly. So it's your responsibility to make sure that you get them done and you get them done on time. So you'll get some reminders from Chris, but at the end of the day, if you don't have them done, then that was your requirement, so you'll be the one that's impacted by that. They're required by the uni and there's some site-specific ones. We can't send you out because if you're not compliant, you don't get insured, and we can't send you out if you're not insured. And you don't want to go out if you're not insured, because then if someone tries to sue you for doing something wrong, you're up for millions of dollars. So we don't send you out if you're not compliant. Some sites have some extra compliance things, so as soon as you get your allocations, go and check that. Again, we'll show you where that is at another point, but there's information for every site on that flow page, and that will tell you extra compliance things you need to get. Don't leave them, because if you haven't done them by the time placement starts, you can't go to placement until you get them. We can't reallocate you, so it just means you'll get less time on placement, and there's a chance that you won't pass it.
Yes. I know that sounds very scary. We have had a student in the past who wasn't compliant in time and couldn't go on placement for that 1 week placement and did fail the topic because of that. So he'd done everything else but failed because of that. So I know it sounds like we're being really mean, but it is serious, and we don't have a lot of flexibility to offer those placements at another time.
And you've got plenty of time. You got 2 months, 2.5. This is an example of a checklist of all the things you need to get organised before you can go on placement. So you can see there's a lot of things on there. A version of this checklist at least can be found on that website that we had up before. Okay, so just appreciate there's lots of things that you need to get sorted before you can go out on placement. So to recap, please ensure that you allow enough time to do your pre-compliance requirements. Keep up to date with any changes. Sometimes there's new or refined things that you need to do for placement. Keep all the originals of your documentation certificates showing you completed things, the checks, your blood test results. Keep them in a portfolio or a folder with you and take that to placement on your first day. Every single placement. Sometimes sites want to see the physical original copy for their own purposes. Also make sure you're uploading all those things to In Place. You'll find out more about that later. And check any venue-specific requirements and make sure you get them done in addition to your general requirements. So the first thing that you have to do towards your compliance is get your hand hygiene module completed. And that's part of your practical class activities, preparation for practical class activities for PMF next week. Okay, so that's part of your compliance. So get that done before next week. As I said, you have to have everything done and and submitted by the 1st of May, and that makes sure we can get everything done on our end so you can go out on placement on the 15th of June. That's the first date you might be out on placement. So that's the hard cutoff for getting everything in. Talking about placement uniform, it's a navy polo, it's got a uni logo on it, says physiotherapy. Where navy trousers, pockets are really helpful to have in them for your pen and notebook and so forth. Black or navy flat and enclosed shoes, so they've got to be enclosed, have a heel to them, and have to be flat. So they have a heel that wraps around your heel, but not a heel underneath your heel, if that makes sense. You've got to wear your Flinders Uni placement badge, so make sure you've got that, as Kelly said. Comply with infection control policies, so you have to be bare below the elbow when you go out on placement. So that means you can't wear long sleeve tops underneath your placement uniform. There's a link to order your uniforms and your name badges on that placement compliance page. Again, that website we had up before. And as we've said a number of times, hopefully this is hammering home, do it early, do it this week. Okay, don't wait, get that stuff organised and ordered as soon as you can.
We'll cover this again in your hand hygiene module and probably throughout class as well, with being bare below the elbow, so no long sleeves underneath, but it also applies to jewellery, watches, those sorts of things as well. It'll be detailed a little bit more in that hand hygiene module. If you go to order your uniform, you'll see that there's also a vest option that can be worn over the polo shirt. That's completely optional. Whether you want to get that or not, it can be a bit helpful in the colder months when you can't have anything long sleeve on underneath, so just to keep you a little bit warmer, but totally optional.
Fitness of practice. Okay, so this is something is part of your compliance, essentially meaning that you are healthy and fit in order to undertake placement. It's the same way that you need to be healthy and fit to do your job. Okay, so if you break your ankle and you rock up to Domino's for your shift, your boss will probably send you home. So it's the same type of principle. It's nothing new or different from that. And so it basically means you need to meet a range of clinical standards whilst you're undertaking placement, and they're kind of listed there. So you need to be able to do all of those things, communicate professionally, work with a diverse range of clients. So if you have a health reason or another reason why you can't do that, that might mean you're not fit for placement. And we need to know about that and work through whether you can go on a different type of placement where those skills aren't needed, or whether we need to delay your placements until you are able to do those things. There's also a range of activities that you need to be able to do, again, listed there: pushing, pulling, squatting, kneeling. So if you have a medical reason why you can't do those things, again, please tell us ASAP. If you have a medical reason why you can't do some of these things that is unlikely to change in the future, that's really important to tell us so we can look at how we still meet the placement requirements for you. Sometimes we've had people who have dislocated their shoulder and we've had to just delay placements for them until they have the physical fitness and the fitness for practice in order to go out on placement. So if you have something you're concerned about, please let us know ASAP. There are a range of services that are here to support you in a whole bunch of different settings. As I said, there's financial services. There's also this health counselling disability service. So they provide free for students, confidential services for a range of different reasons. They've got GPs there and counsellors and so forth. But one really important thing to highlight is that you can meets with a disability advisor who can assess whether you would meet the criteria for an access plan. So a disability could be a medical condition, mental health condition, learning disability or difficulty, or any other type of disability that impacts your study. And access plans are plans put together by you and the disability advisor that basically says you need these additional considerations or requirements around your study. That can be really helpful for your participating in classes and with assessments and so forth, but it can also help us to make sure we give you the right type of placement experience to set you up for success. So if you think that this is something that would be beneficial for you and you meet the criteria, please contact Health Counselling and Disability. The website is just there. Make a time to meet with a disability advisor and talk about whether you qualify or not. And if you have an access plan or you get one, please send it on to not just me, but Kelly as course coordinator and all of your topic coordinators as soon as possible. So what do you need to do now? I should have done this as a quiz. What do you need to do now?
Compliance.
Wow, Kelly remembered. Compliance. Everyone say compliance? Good. Uniform. Everyone say uniform? Good. Familiarise yourself with the placement website. So there's that website again with all the things that you need to do, and respond to and act on any emails from Chris as soon as possible. All right. Questions? Have any come in?
So close back up. Yes, we've got 2. Do you want to take them or do you
We can tag team. What sort of placement-related expenses are covered by the uni? Do you want to answer that one?
Sure. So if this relates to metropolitan placements, really the university doesn't have any input to that. So your payment for the topic that your placement relates to covers your insurance, so that's a good thing. But you are responsible for, your uniform, your transport to and from, all those sorts of things. Matt talked about for rural placements, so if you are a domestic student, you are able to access Flinders University accommodation, which generally is free of charge. You may be able to access other universities' accommodation in some areas. What that might mean is that you pay for it up front and then you're reimbursed by Flinders University later. There is some reimbursement for travel costs for longer distances, but it's normally just one trip to where you're going for rural placement and one trip back, so it doesn't count if you're coming back and forth every weekend, and that's just a partial reimbursement for your fuel. If you are an international student and you would like to do a rural placement, there is actually some funding available to you, but it's a small amount, and I don't know any accommodation options that you would be able to cover with what they provide. So you would need to make up the difference and you would need to organise your own accommodation and transport. There was something else I was going to say. If you have to use your car for placement, we work really hard with our placement providers to minimise the amount of travel that you're asked to do as part of placement. Unfortunately, we don't have a Flinders University fleet of vehicles that we can send you all out in. That's a dream for the future. But yes, for now, we'll try and minimise the amount of travel that you have to do. If you head out on placement and what your placement provider is asking you to do you think is unreasonable, if it's quite long distances that you're covering, please get in contact with us and we can try to address that at the time. I believe the Flinders Uni Student Association may be able to provide vouchers every now and then to cover things like petrol while you're on placement, but that's managed separately to us, so you're welcome to get in contact with them.
Things like your police checks and working with children checks are costs that you'll have to incur as well to get ready for placement. Okay, so how long before the start of placement do we find out which block we're in and where we are? Typically at least a couple of months, and so we try and get that out. So your first placement could be starting at the end of September going into October, and we'll try and let you know in July when you're going and where you're going. So we try and give you as much notice as possible, and particularly if you're going to a rural site and we can confirm that with you sooner, we will. So we give you as much time as we can. Is there an opportunity? So a couple of questions about preferences. So can we register preferences? Are they competitive and based on how quickly they apply? How do we know what sites we might want to preference? Can we put in preference for regional settings or where we have accommodation? So yes, you can put in your preferences, and it really, that term is a good one. It's where you'd prefer to go, and we try and consider that as much as we can, but we can't always make that happen, but we do try. And so before your placement at the end of this year, we'll send out a survey before we've made the allocations and ask you for things like do you have a car and license, and can you swim, but also are there rural sites that you're interested in going in, and do you have accommodation there or not, and what type of settings or discipline areas are you really interested in going, and mainly around ones where we don't have a lot of placements, so perhaps like paediatrics or working with the MS Society or something. We try and marry up students in terms of their interest areas as well as where they live with the placement site as much as possible, so we try and get that information from you. How competitive is it? Again, it's not competitive in the sense you need to get in quickly. Once we get everyone's information, we look at it, and then we try and balance experiences to ensure that you meet all the requirements for the course. So that's where sometimes that we have an option to send someone to this rural town, but we can't send you even though you want to go there, because we actually need to send you to another site, because it's the only opportunity we've got to get you that essential experience. So we try and do it as much as we can, but it doesn't always work out. Knowing if you've got, particularly if you're an international student, you've got accommodation at a rural site, and that's why you're happy to go there, or you've got family, or you want to work there when you graduate, they're really helpful things to know, and things that you can put into the survey that we send out, because that does help us to place you somewhere that you want to go. Can we request to spend some of our time, some of our later placements with a focus in a specific specialty? Unfortunately, at this stage, no is the simple answer. That's because we've got to meet all those requirements around settings and discipline-specific areas, and you could be doing any one of those settings or discipline areas at any placement. The unfortunate thing about that is you'll study all of your MUSC skills in first year, and for some students they don't complete their MUSC placement until the end of next year. And that's just, again, because of how we have to balance how many placements we've got in certain settings and making sure you all get your requirements. And so we are still often trying to give you those essential experiences in those later placements. We aren't able to give everyone those essential experiences in those earlier placements. So we, again, do ask if you have specific interest areas, and we try and give you experiences in them if we can, but we're not able to accommodate requests for the definite request for specific areas in those later placements.
I might add to that, because there's a specific mention here of women's health. So there are some real niche areas of physiotherapy like women's health. You may be exposed to some of these experiences on placement, which is great, but you can't be assessed on clinical skills that haven't been taught at the university. So it seems crude if you went out on placement and your supervisor asked you to do an internal examination. We don't teach that here, so that's way out of scope for what you would be expected to do on placement. So like I said, you might be able to observe some of those more specialist areas, but we certainly wouldn't expect you to be doing anything in practice that you haven't learnt at university.
Mm-hmm. There's one last question about swapping placements. Generally, you're not able to swap placements, again, because we've kind of crafted your individual placement experience to make sure you meet all the requirements of the course. If you have a reason why you can't do a placement, then please come and talk to me and discuss it with me, and we can look at adjusting that, particularly if it meets one of those unforeseen or exceptional circumstances. Sometimes, on very rare occasions, if it's as simple as I live in Noarlunga and I'm on an acute care placement in Elizabeth, and my friend lives in Elizabeth and he's on an acute care placement at Noarlunga, we can go, oh, that was a mistake on our behalf, and we can make those small adjustments, but that's very rare that there's an easy swap like that. So the best thing to do is just to come and talk to us and explain the situation, and we can talk about what is or isn't possible within that.
Mm-hmm.
Great. Any other last minute questions? Cool. Well, if you remember nothing else, remember... Okay, 3 people remembered it. Good. Compliance. Thanks, everyone. I'll see you this afternoon.
Yes, thank you, Matt. Feel free to just have a stand up and a little stretch quickly. I won't keep you for too much longer.
Sorry.
That's fine. It's all important stuff. I'll see you back in the office. Cool. Thanks. Take care. Do you want to go near? Oh, actually, I'll bring them back up later. Yeah, that's fine. All right. Did anyone stand up? I missed it. No? We're all okay? All right, let's close Matt's presentation. Let's go back to here. Oh, wrong one. Okay. Let's power through. There's not much longer to go, and then we'll split for lunch. And then this afternoon's a bit more interactive. Okay, so in the MPT, the different teaching activities you can expect. There are still lectures, which hopefully doesn't come as a surprise. The vast majority of these will be online and pre-recorded. They do appear on your timetable. It doesn't mean you have to come in or you have to watch them at that particular time. But we do timetable them so that you know when you're supposed to be watching lecture material in preparation for the associated tutorial or practical class, okay? So for example, you might have lectures timetabled on your Monday and then prac classes Tuesday, Wednesday. I don't care if you watch the lectures on the Monday or on the weekend or at 12 midnight on Monday night, as long as you've done that to prepare yourself for the prac classes Tuesday, Wednesday. We do a lot of practical classes. It is essential to attend these. We do not record practical classes, and there's not really an opportunity to catch up on any of the content in pracs. So we don't teach practical skills twice. It will be covered once in a session, and then it might be scaffolded with more of that problem-based or case-based learning later on. So really important, if you are away for any of the practical sessions, that you let us know as soon as possible, and work with your peers to catch up on content that you've missed. If you're really struggling, you can talk to your topic coordinator about anything that you've missed. We do have some tutorials and workshops as well. These are also essential to attend. We don't record them either. They are mostly face-to-face, but occasionally we'll have some online tutorials or workshops as well. Simulation, also essential to attend, so there's lots of on-campus activity. We don't record these. This is really a valuable opportunity to practice what you've learned in class before you go out to placement. So it's kind of this nice bridging opportunity to practice those skills in a safe environment where you can call a timeout, stop, regroup, rewind what you're doing and start again, which you obviously can't do in practice with real clients in front of you. And like I mentioned before, independent study. So we rely on you guys a lot to use your time well outside of university to prepare yourselves. Our practical classes will be mostly at STIRT. I think there's occasional gym visits, and in second year we do some more site visits with Novita and spinal cord injury and things like that. Our two prac rooms are W406, so in STIRT West, level 4. That's the level where all of our offices are in STIRT West. And then STIRT South 407A. So we're going to visit 407A this afternoon for a bit of orientation. Please don't go to W406 this afternoon because those poor second year guys have their prac exams in there, so we'll try and keep that nice and quiet. We also have some smaller skill practice spaces on the ground floor in STIRT South, in those 3 rooms up there. We don't teach in those spaces, but we try and make them available to you, particularly when you start to get a bit closer to your practical exam time, so you can go in there and practice your prac skills together. So we leave some plinths and equipment and things in there for you to use. We trust that you will use them responsibly and look after the equipment in there and keep it nice and tidy. Like I said, we don't repeat anything that we teach in practicals, but there will be some scaffolded skill development. Please ensure that you attend your timetabled practical, not the one that your friends are in. We do have limitations on how many students can be in the space at any one time, which is why we timetable it that way. And particularly for topics such as MSK1, you will be partnered with someone. So if we have uneven numbers or your partners aren't rocking up, it causes lots of trouble. So please attend at your timetabled time. We would also like you to bring your own clean towel to your practical classes for use. We will complete the room orientation and safety induction today, this afternoon in S407. And just keep in mind those prac spaces are not just used for you guys as first years, the second years are in there as well at times. So make sure that we're leaving it nice and tidy and ready for the next group to head in. In terms of assessments in the MPT, you'll be able to find all the information that you need for each topic on the corresponding flow page. If that's not clear or you're unsure about something, you can talk to your topic coordinator for the topic. If you're having particular trouble with assessments or progress through the program, please make a time to come and speak to me. So we have a variety of different assessments. There will be some written submissions, so in interprofessional practice, which we'll be doing in first semester, you'll have some sort of written reflection tasks that you'll be performing, and then next year you'll probably have more case study, professional application type tasks. We do have quizzes or tests. I think most of these now in the MPT will be in person and invigilated, which means that there's someone here kind of watching you while you're doing your quiz rather than it being online and at home. We do have demonstration assessments or practical exams where we might give you a scenario, ask you to complete a certain task, and you will often be partnered with someone to be your patient in that scenario. We have interactive orals, so you will have your first one in first semester for MSK1, where we explore your reasoning and your understanding of a topic through an interview, essentially. And then placement assessment. So that isn't assessed by us here at the university. It'll be assessed by whoever your clinical supervisor is out on placement. And I just put a little asterisk down there about hurdle tasks. So if that's an unfamiliar term for anyone, a hurdle task is an assessment task that's required to be passed to pass the topic overall, okay? So in a particular topic, you might have 3 assessments that are required for that topic, and this weighting is different, so it might be 20% for one, 30% for another, etc. But hurdle tasks will be clearly signposted that you need to be able to pass that assessment to pass the topic. Okay, lastly, academic integrity. So hopefully this is a familiar concept for most of you having studied before, but it's really about, like we mentioned before, producing an honest representation of work. So it's a commitment from you to principles of honesty, respect, trust and fairness. So we need to make sure that you are presenting work that is your own, that you are not colluding with other class members or copying their work or plagiarising other people's work. We try now to really clearly signpost what is and is not acceptable around the use of artificial intelligence. So there's a scale from red to green that we'll try and make sure is clearly signposted on each of your assessments. Obviously things like an in-person interview, you can't use AI because we're just going to sit there and have a conversation. Prac exams, the same thing, you just need to be able to demonstrate the skills. But for more of your written assessments, there may be an opportunity to use AI to a point, but we need to be realistic that at the end of these 2 years, you need to be able to think critically and problem solve yourselves without a reliance on artificial intelligence. If you are unsure about what you can and can't do, please speak to your topic coordinator, or you're welcome to come and speak to me if on the whole you're really unsure of what's acceptable, and there's more information available on that website up there. All right. So this afternoon, I'm just quickly going to scoot through. Has anyone not logged into Flow yet? No? Good. That's a good sign. Obviously this week is O week, so there are some activities happening on campus. Unfortunately, there's not a lot happening today, I don't think, but tomorrow and Thursday, there's lots of activities happening. There'll be free giveaways, there'll be student advocates that you can go and speak to, and there's even more happening up the hill. So up the hill at the Bedford Park main campus, there's a big welcome hub, there are campus tours, all of the different clubs have their stalls there so you can sign up for them. Lots of social events happening, and help with basically getting started if you're new to Flinders University. And then there'll be more happening next week in Connect Week, so first week of study. So you'll probably see some more activities happening around campus and just some fun things to get started with and start socialising and getting to know each other. So, oh dear, I'll go back. Okay, we've finished a little bit early, which means that you guys will have quite a big lunch break. I'm trying to problem solve a little bit. Maybe perhaps what we can do is, if you want to start from 1:30, we might meet in S405A. So we need you to come through. We'll have some forms for you to sign. So as I mentioned before, this is around your consent to participate in practical activities. Then we'll take a photo of you so that we can try to get to know your names and keep track of who you are, and provide some information about the mentoring program. And then from there, we'll split up a little bit to S407A for that prac room induction, and then S404A, we've got some of our lovely second year students there to meet and greet. So we'll try and keep it all pretty flexible. If everyone's rocking up to one room, we'll just try and split you up a little bit. So I'll head to S405A from 1:30, so if you can come and sort out your form and have your photo taken and everything like that, and then we'll direct you from there. The intention was to come back here to meet your semester 1 topic coordinators from 3:30 and just a final Q&A and then head off. But I reckon we'll be able to finish a little bit earlier than that. So just don't run away from the Sturt South rooms. There'll be lots of us. Matt will be there, I'll be there, Claire will be there. So if you're unsure about anything, come and grab us. But we'll try and let you know when it's time to come back across here, and we'll finish up this afternoon. So free to head off for lunch. From 1:30, I'll be in S405A, and I'll hang about here for a little while if you do have any questions.